We had free mobile app, live video on the Twitter X platform, YouTube at Mike Gill Show. I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Hennings producing today's show. You out there, we've got a tornado coming through the area. It's in, it's out. Maybe it hit you. Maybe it's through here. Be safe for those of you out there. It came down pretty quickly. I don't know where it is now, but, man, that thing came in here and absolutely downpoured here in the area. So be safe out there if you're driving around. What do we got going on today? Well, it's a happy hour Friday. Let's get started with some fun early today. Football at 4, Adam Caplan. Bob Wankel, a Mike and Bob Friday Phillies chat. We'll have Rick Tocchet's introductory press conference in the 4 o'clock hour. Phillies getting ready to take on the Pirates up at Citizens Bank Park this weekend. Paul Skeens will pitch on Sunday, so you do get a chance to see something from a Pirates team that's pretty dreadful. I have my Friday 5 NFL games for week 1 and 2, and more thoughts on the Eagles' schedule that I will throw at you later on in the show. I also, some thoughts on this Knicks-Celtics game. I also have thoughts on last night's game. Oklahoma City loses. That game is now going to Game 7. So you're going to get a Sunday Game 7 there, Josh. A little Game 7 Sunday afternoon on 97.3 ESPN. I don't like a Game 7. Now, that game's in Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
So what's Oklahoma City? Are they on Central Time?
So it's like 2 o'clock, well, 2:30 their time.
Yeah, that's a weird Game 7 time. I don't like that at all. Why not a prime time Sunday nighter?
Yeah, that feels like that should be like a 7:30, 8:30 kind of game.
Yeah, Sunday night.
Is it because it's Sunday and they want to play it earlier?
Well, I mean, Sunday NBA has always been like an afternoon window.
That's true.
The NBA on NBC is
that was
always
the time it would be on in the mid-90s.
Yeah, so I get Sunday
Snapper
afternoon.
Jones, Bill Walton.
They're good names. Sunday afternoon is a basketball day, but for a Game 7, I think you need a night. Although I do remember the Raptors-Sixer Kawhi shot was an afternoon game.
It was. To our chagrin.
Bad vibes, bad juju on an
So
afternoon game. I don't like an afternoon playoff game.
I was saying, is that good or bad news for OKC? That the Kawhi shot.
I think it's bad news for OKC that it's got. I thought they had to win that game last night. I thought they would. I thought that, the Nuggets fired their coach recently. I mean, before the playoffs started, they fired their coach. And, this Nuggets team won a title 2 years ago, but they just felt like they just kind of keep dissipating. But we'll get into that a little bit later on as well. McGarry this hour, Bob Wankel, as we mentioned. It's a busy show, as always, on a Friday because it's Happy Hour Friday. There's so many things going on. Got the Preakness this weekend.
Do you even care?
I don't care.
There's no Triple Crown.
No Triple Crown. The horse that won the Derby is not even running.
Yeah, Sovereignty.
It is the last race at Pimlico. Have you ever been there?
I've never been there.
I was there once. It was a complete bleep show. Of fun, but it was a bleep show.
So I'm not missing anything.
I mean, it's one of those things, you talk about a bucket list place. People generally don't say Pimlico Racetrack is a bucket list place, but, I was at the Preakness. It is one of the Triple Crowns, but it's not anything special. The place is not in the nicest neighborhood. It is in a pretty terrible neighborhood, actually. It's a bad neighborhood, man. You got to watch yourself walking down the street there. So it's not a great neighborhood. The place doesn't have anything that, stands out. You ever hear anybody man, that Pimlico Racetrack, you got to see it once in your life. People will tell you the Derby, got to check that out, the Masters, different, sports shrines.
Yes.
Pimlico Racetrack was not on that list.
Pimlico doesn't even sound like a real racetrack. It sounds like some fake racetrack from a movie.
I don't know anything else that happens there. Not that I know anything that happens else at Churchill Downs. But I will say, for instance, the third leg of the Triple Crown is the Belmont. Now, right. I've never been to the Belmont. I don't know anything about Belmont in terms of the place. But right now, they're redoing Belmont. So the Belmont Stakes are actually being ran at
Is it Saratoga?
It's Saratoga,
Yeah.
which I've been to twice. Now, Saratoga is worth going to.
Okay.
That is a place that you're like, when you walk in, you can feel the history. It is really cool. It almost feels like you're at Saratoga, it almost feels like you're walking around Cape May with a horse track.
Oh, that's cool.
There's like a lot of shopping and
A lot of history.
Yeah, there's just a lot of shopping and food trucks, and it's like it's a vibe. It's a thing. It's like a place to go.
It's a place
They've done a really good job of maintaining, hey, it's cool to go to the racetrack. Let's do something here. And they've got like vendors out front.
That sounds fun.
And it's like a whole like craft show almost when I went there anyway. I don't know if it's like that all the time, but I think it is. I think they still do like, hey, the opening of the track season is Friday night, come out, and they have vendors, and it's almost like every single Friday and Saturday you've got this whole community going on with the horses going on. So they're doing the Belmont there, I think last year, this year, and maybe one more.
Yeah, I think the new Belmont's opening. I think they said it was either next year or the year after. I have to look it up. But I remember them saying that, the new Belmont's apparently supposed to be like incredible.
I would imagine so. If you're taking 3 years off them at the Triple Crown race. Now, what's going on? This is the last year at Pimlico.
Correct.
Are they building a new building like there? I mean, it's not a great neighborhood again.
I have to look it up, but I think they're moving to a new spot.
So it's not going to be
Pimlico.
at Pimlico.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably makes sense. That place was getting pretty beat up. I mean, it was old. It was beat up when I went there, and I'm talking about probably it has to be at least 15 years since I have been at Pimlico. But, all right, so we got that happening this weekend as well.
So they're moving it to Laurel Park because they're demoing Pimlico late June, early July.
Wait, so they're moving the race to Laurel Park. They're demoing Pimlico, but are they rebuilding Pimlico on the site? Like, are they going to Laurel in the interim until they build a new Pimlico, or is Laurel going to be the new spot for the Belmont for the future? Or is that just like Saratoga is for these couple of years?
So the Preakness will return to Baltimore in 2027 at the new Pimlico.
So they're building the new Pimlico. Probably are they going to? So they're demoing it and then rebuilding on the same site.
Right, but apparently part of the rebuild is going to make the whole area. They're going to upgrade the whole area.
They need to. And like I said, I was there. I remember going there after college. I met my college buddies there. And I don't know, so I graduated college 2000, so you're talking at least 25 years, probably right after college, so probably 24, 23 years ago since I've been to Pimlico, and that town had seen better days
then
at that point.
Yeah. So according to this article, part of the reason why Pimlico is in such ill repair is because the Stronach group refused to fix it for years. And when they transferred it to the Maryland Racing Authority, they immediately set out for this project to rebuild the entire area.
All right, well, they're going to do that, and they're going to refurbish the whole area. That's good. They need it down there. It's definitely a...
But next year it'll be at Laurel Park.
So they're basically doing what Saratoga is hosting for a couple of years, then it's going back to the Belmont.
Correct.
And they're going to redo, but they're tearing the whole building down. They didn't tear down the Belmont. They're just updating it, or did they tear the whole thing down?
Let me look it up. I thought that was just a remodel.
Yeah, Pimlico racetrack is just outside of Baltimore. Not the nicest neighborhood, but it's good to hear that they're going to put it back into place there and try to do something with that neighborhood and get that area built back up a little bit. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. I look at this Phillies weekend, and, you take a look at it and say, all right, you got the Pirates in town. The Pirates are can you imagine? Think about this. Can you imagine having to be a Pirates fan? Can you imagine having to be a fan of a team like the Pirates?
Sounds miserable.
What do you have on the...
Oh, by the way, so Belmont, they're calling it a redevelopment, and they're going to be opening what they call the new Belmont because...
Same spot?
It's the same spot, but they have built a brand new grandstand. they've enhanced the racing surfaces to make a new synthetic track that is less likely to be damaged by weather.
How does this happen?
How does these
How do some places become so ingrained where that sport is just such a part of the fabric of the community? Like we have the Atlantic City racetrack here, which obviously hasn't been opened in, 10, 15 years.
Right.
And even when it was open 10, 15 years ago, it was only running like once a year just to like keep its license so that they could do simulcasting. But how are some, like I was thinking about this, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy was saying in the podcast that he's from Louisville, Kentucky. He goes to Louisville, Kentucky every year to watch the race with his father. It's still something that they do together.
That's cool.
But I'm thinking to myself, how does that one city, of all the cities in the country, Louisville, Kentucky, is so tied to a horse race? Why has it not gotten old for them? But we have the Atlantic City racetrack, I went there as a kid a lot. It was a great night out. It was a great spot. But why does it fade away for us, but not for them? That's one of the things I always wonder about, of like where certain sports are bigger in certain areas of the country, but not as big in another area. Why does this one area cultivate still to that sport, but another one doesn't? It is a weird dynamic when you think about it. Like some places are college football areas, others are pro football areas. Some places baseball's big, other places baseball not big. Hockey real big in some places, not so big in other places. But horse racing is a really interesting one. Why so big in Kentucky, not here in Mays Landing? Could they not? I mean, that track, it wasn't like it was like this rinky-dink little track. I mean, it was a nice place.
To me, Mike, I've always felt like I just don't think people, they're not as invested. They don't care as much. You go to some of these other parts of the country, you mentioned about Louisville, you go to certain parts of the South, like there is a part of those people that they identify emotionally. It's almost like a spiritual experience for these people. You know, there's parts of the country where like they close down parts of the community just for the race or just for a football game. In this area,
I get that point, but I'm saying why? Why is it that in Louisville, Kentucky, if they have the race there every year, that the whole place looks forward to it, they love it, it's like the biggest thing they have going, and it's but if you do that, it doesn't catch on here. Because
I don't think people here care. I think there's a group of people in this area who have this selfish level of indifference that they don't want to support their community. And I think that's why some of the great things we've had in this area have not always been successful.
Maybe, but horse racing in general hasn't, like, it's very, very, very few places where it has
a wide net, because if there's you and I have seen a lot of great entities come through this area, and some of them have not been supported properly.
The horse racing thing to me is very interesting. Like, here, this race is here, and the whole town gets behind it. It's like a holiday there, and not an official holiday.
No.
Just like a holiday.
Yes.
Like you treat it like a holiday, not a real holiday. You don't
not a Holiday Inn Express.
It's on the Saturday, so you're off anyway. So
naturally.
That said,
but again,
they shut down like the whole town for the day for this one event.
But for the Kentucky Derby, it's actually a multiple-day event because it actually starts Friday, and people will take off early to get to the track for the Friday races. It turns into a whole weekend for those people.
Yeah, well, there's like certain towns, Saratoga, Kentucky, Louisville, where that sport is
huge,
synonymous.
It's like the central hub of a culture.
Well, the Belmont's the Preakness is this weekend. Is it always? I feel like
they've changed it a few times over the years.
Wasn't it usually 3 weeks between? Has it been 3 weeks?
Yeah. It's been no, it's been 2 weeks.
Because the winning horse is not running, is it? Because it's too close?
It's too close. Yeah.
Why did they squeeze it?
Apparently, there's some deal with, and I am no horse racing expert, but apparently there was some issue with scheduling and timing and
What other races are going on that they can't?
I don't know.
That the track's not available.
Apparently, they don't want to do it Memorial Day weekend.
Isn't the Kentucky Derby the first Sunday or first Saturday in May?
Every May.
So how has it changed? We're Memorial Day weekend. I mean, I don't get it.
There is a big petition going on out there that they want to have it so that the horse racing schedule is
Memorial Day weekend. So that's the 24th. That would be 1, 2, 3 weeks away.
Right. They don't want to do it that weekend. So there's a petition out there right now to have it after Memorial Day weekend be the second leg of the Triple Crown. So that way there's a 4-week gap.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the winning horse say, I'm not racing in the race because it's only 2 weeks, then I would say, then I can't have the race on 2 weeks. I need that horse here.
Right.
I need to do whatever I can because otherwise no one will care about
maybe
my
with
race.
tearing down Pimlico, it'll be, we're not just tearing down the building, we're tearing down the old schedule.
All right. Can you imagine being a Pittsburgh Pirate fan?
Sounds
or
miserable.
A fan of a team like that in any sport? Like I
Browns
get
fans.
it. People are frustrated with the Sixers. They haven't won a championship since '83. But they've given you a lot of times where you at least said, okay, they're a playoff team. I think they can win a championship. And if they don't win a championship, I'm disappointed by that. The Pirates are just no hope ever. Now, they made the playoffs a handful of times with McCutchen in his kind of prime years there. But they are 15-29. They're already 10 games out of first place. They're a minus 54. It is a franchise that essentially exists only to try to profit. They do not try at all to win. It is a unbelievable it's an unbelievable existence that you would have to have as a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. My buddies, because I went to West Virginia, I knew a lot of guys from West Virginia. They're generally Pittsburgh pro sports fans.
I was going to ask you, so for the guys that you know, do they look at it as we had so much success with the Steelers and Penguins over the years that we sold our soul for those
I don't know.
teams?
It's a good baseball town, too. Like, they have a great stadium. I went to the game there, I think it was 2 summers ago, I guess it was.
right?
I went to PNC. Sellout crowds. I mean, because they were playing the Phillies. Still a good baseball town. They love the baseball there, but Pirates thing there is just a disaster. This team's coming in here. This is the guy. This is the. You probably never heard of any of these guys. Joey Bart.
I do know who Joey Bart was because he was a big-time prospect, I believe, for the Giants. He was supposed to be the heir apparent to Buster Posey. He's the only guy I know. I think it's kind of
Brian Hayes, Isaiah Kiner Falafa.
He's on my fantasy
Tommy
team.
Pham. Now, how does Tommy Pham end up on this team?
That's a good question. How badly did Tommy Pham want a job that no one else would give it to him but the Pirates?
O'Neal Cruz is out, so he's day-to-day. I mean, so he's their center fielder. He's one of their players. Brian Reynolds a couple of years ago, he was like one of their guys that like they had to keep, and now he's kind of faded away. They still have Andrew McCutchen on that team, but they do have Skeens who's going to pitch on Sunday.
Yeah, you'll see Livy Dunn in the stands.
Yes, if she ends up coming, but
she'll be there.
Mitch
the Jersey girl.
They have some decent. Bailey Falter, by the way, is one of their pitchers.
Former Philly.
Remember
They traded him for Rodolfo Castro.
Mm-hmm. And he has stuck around. He is still in their rotation there. It is just a sad existence, and it's funny because we bemoan our team so much, but there's something like all of the Philadelphia sports teams, mostly all the time, every year, at least try.
Right.
And if they don't try, like the Sixers during the process years, they at least came out and said, we're doing this for a reason. Can you imagine just being a Pirates fan languishing in this muck of existence where you know there is just no light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, because you're not even in mediocrity. You're below mediocrity.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not even trying, But yet you're not saying we have a plan. We're just existing.
There's no plan.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are a professional sports team that essentially just exists. They just exist to try to make a profit. They make no effort at all to try to be a successful team. The only way that the Pirates and other teams like them, there's not many like the Pirates. The Pirates are pretty down rotten. The only way that team would ever have any microcosm of success is by total accident that they draft a generational player. Now, they think they have one with the pitcher. The problem is with Skeens, and they have some other good young pitchers in their
Max
organization.
Keller, Miles Keller, for example, he's one. They have the Paul Skeens LSU teammates in the minor leagues right now. I forget his name.
But you would have to hit on so many of your own homegrown picks to be able to get out of this mess.
Right.
And you have to do it consecutively. Like you can't get one here and then 5 years from now get another one. You have to be able to nail these picks all. That's the only. Can you imagine that's your only existence, that you have no ability to improve your team through any means other than successful draft choice?
Well, let me ask you this, Mike, because Jeff Passan has put out there that the Pirates are such a pathetic franchise that they should trade Paul Skeens. They should do like a Herschel Walker deal where they get a bunch of players to rebuild their organization by trading one superstar.
What are you getting? I mean, sure, yeah. But I'm saying, you're telling me you're getting like 8 position players?
Sure.
Now you have no pitching.
You have no pitching, right. But
right, you're the opposite. Now, this team has they actually do have decent pitching.
they do, yeah.
But their lineup is pathetic. But
Like for example,
if you traded Skeens and just got back like 7 players, now you have no pitching.
No, but like for example, if you are, let's use the Phillies for example. Would you trade Andrew Painter and a bunch of guys for Paul Skeens?
Would I trade Andrew Painter and a bunch of guys for Paul Skeens?
Yeah, probably
not.
So you wouldn't do that. You don't think?
No, I have Andrew Painter, who I think is comparable to Paul Skeens.
So you're saying that Painter is the equivalent.
I'm not saying I say comparable is the word that
Okay.
I would use. He would be a comparable pitcher where Paul Skeens is like Cy Young level, and Andrew Painter would be, hopefully, my anticipation is that he will be in that conversation with Paul Skeens. He might not be better than Paul Skeens, but he's at least in the conversation.
Okay. I'm just trying to see, like, because if a guy like Paul Skeens does, I don't think he's going to be a Pirate for his entire career.
There's almost no way he could.
So, like, at some point, they're going to move on from him to get a package deal.
Well, they're not going to move on from him. He's going to move on from them.
Yeah.
He'll make that decision because, number one, they're not going to be able to pay him. That's the problem. The
Right.
only way that they can ever become effective is if they nail the draft picks consecutively, because then they can't re-sign them to the next contract. So they have to get them in this window. He's 3-4, by the way, with a 2.63 ERA.
Yeah,
his whip
team
has been
stinks.
really good, but I will say his strikeouts are way down in terms of he's not even averaging a strikeout per inning, which is one of the things last year. He came up and just absolutely dominated. He was striking, his strikeout numbers last year were eye-popping. They're not as eye-popping this year.
Yeah, I would say that at least, I know it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, but it's kind of like the Kerry Wood effect, where Kerry Wood first came up and he was like amazing, and then the second year he dropped off because people started figuring him out. People kind of figured out Skeens a little bit.
Well, last year he had 170 strikeouts in 133 innings. Right now he's got 53 strikeouts in 54 and 2/3. So he's not even getting
a strikeout
an inning. Last year his whip was 0.95. It's really good this year. It's 101. His ERA last year was 196. It's 2.63 right now. So, yeah, in his second year, he hasn't been. So, no, I would not trade Andrew Painter and other players for Paul Skeens. Yes, I might say Skeens might be a little bit better, but I'm okay having Painter and keeping the guys that I have. Is that crazy of me?
I don't think it's crazy. I just think it's, I think it's a worthwhile question, though, because if the day comes the Pirates are like, you know what, we might be able to get something for this guy before he hits free agency.
Well, they're going to have to at some point make that decision. Are we going to trade him, or we can't let him walk in free agency, so they're going to have to trade him for a bundle. So that's their play.
Right.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video on the X platform, Twitter X, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. When we come back, a look at the weekend, all the top events. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City joins us.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's Bennett Chevrolet's Memorial Day blowout with prices that won't be beat. That's right, Bennett Chevrolet selling new Chevys at GM supplier employee prices. And you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 20%. Who else can make an offer this good? Nobody. That's who. Get to Bennett Chevy's Memorial Day blowout all this month and save up to 20% on new vehicles with GM supplier employee pricing, and you keep all the rebates. Plus, you'll save even more with Bennett's available 0% financing. And if you're looking for your best deal on pre-owned, Bennett's paying a minimum $10,000 for any trade, no matter the mileage or condition. You'll get at least 10 grand towards any pre-owned. Imagine how much more Bennett pays for a good trade. And there's no need to negotiate. Never any haggles or hassles, because our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
With Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters and auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
Oh, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Oh, wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, Go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Get Memorial Day appliance savings at the Home Depot with up to 35% off, plus up to an extra $450 off select appliances like Whirlpool that can keep up with your busy routine. Whether storing weeknight dinners or packing coolers for the next sports practice, the Home Depot has the Whirlpool refrigerator with storage and ice capacity for everything you need to keep up. Celebrate Memorial Day with savings on select appliances at the Home Depot. Offer valid May 15th through June 4th, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, 2:31, Happy Hour Friday. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, Press of AC.com, set to join us. He's on his way to Citizens Bank Park, where apparently, Mike, the weather has taken a turn for the better. The sun is out. It's shining up there?
Yeah, a little, but the sun is out. I can see blue sky above, so certainly not, when I left my house, it was a deluge, but I have driven into the light, so to speak, as I head towards Citizens Bank Park.
All right, well, I want to get your thoughts. We're going to take a look at the Phillies and Pirates this weekend. The Pirates have to be one of the worst teams in all of sports to be a fan of. They have absolutely no hope at all. I mean, this is a team you're going to see Paul Skeens pitch on Sunday, one of the bright stars of this game. But realistically, this team exists as a professional team essentially to try to make money. They make no effort to try to win at all. And we talk about, you and I, a couple times a week, about the Phillies and their problems and the Sixers when their problems. Can you imagine this was the team that was in our market?
Yeah, it would not be fun, right? And, to me, it's poor management. There's no reason, Mike, why I can't conceive that the Pittsburgh Pirates can't contend. I mean, Pittsburgh is a big city. They have a beautiful ballpark. They've got tradition there. You look around baseball at other teams, similar markets that are successful. I mean, Cleveland is not that far from Pittsburgh. Why can the Cleveland Indians, or the Cleveland Guardians rather, be successful and not the Pittsburgh Pirates? Why are the Tampa Bay Rays successful and not the Pittsburgh Pirates? Why can the Kansas City Royals put together some good seasons and not the Pittsburgh Pirates? To me, it's just absolute mismanagement, poor management that has doomed this franchise. And right, if you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Pirates now, you've got Paul Skeens, but in the back of your mind, you got to be thinking, how many years is Paul Skeens going to pitch here before he is pitching for a team in another uniform? So to me, it's mismanagement. I don't see any reason why the Pittsburgh Pirates shouldn't be better run and more successful than they are.
Yeah, the ballpark's great. I've been there many times. I was there a couple of years ago. Sellout crowds. For whatever reason, though, this team has just not been able to get out of their own way. And Skeens, he'll pitch on Sunday, one of the great stars of this game. Mike, it's only a matter of time before they're going to have to make a decision on how much can they trade him for, because there's almost no way they can afford to sign him.
Well, I mean, they'll have a couple of years before they do that. It's only his second year, but it is depressing because that is eventually where it's going to end up, and you're going to ask yourself, like, how much should I invest in this guy? How much of myself should I give to this guy when I know in the long run he's probably gone? So, that is an issue. But again, Mike, I look around baseball. The Detroit Tigers are successful right now. The Guardians, as we mentioned. The Milwaukee Brewers have put together some good seasons. What is so different about the Pittsburgh market? To me, it's absolute management and ownership that doom this franchise, because you look around baseball, there's no reason why they couldn't be successful.
Well, listen, and Mike, you kind of hit on something that's a broad topic in sports. The other teams that you mentioned, Detroit, they spent money. I mean, they brought Baez in there a couple of years ago. Now, it didn't work out. He's actually having a good year this year, but they signed him for big money. Milwaukee has given contracts to players. I can't think of one player that Pittsburgh has paid, a free agent that they have signed. Nothing. At least like Detroit, okay, they spent money, didn't work out, but they've tried. That's the thing in sports, like the Philly teams. They all try. They all spend money. Paul George, okay, they spend a lot of money on George. It hasn't worked out, but at least they have tried. This Pittsburgh team is a sports anomaly where they have not even tried to compete.
Absolutely. And again, you go back to poor management. They are a team that obviously has to build through the draft. And as a small market franchise or as a non-major market franchise. But again, that can be done. The examples are there. Baltimore Orioles, another team. They're having a down season this year, but the last couple of years they've been in the playoffs. They've had really successful seasons. They've got a good core of younger players. They brought in, Corbin Burns to try to make a run last year. Then they see him, walk in the offseason. But again, to me, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it's such a shame, Mike, because when I was growing up, and probably when you were growing up, you were probably coming of age in that Bobby Bonilla, Barry Bonds era of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I was, Willie Stargell, Manny Sanguillen, Roberto Clemente. It really was. When the Pirates were coming to town, you were seeing some of the biggest stars in all of baseball. And to see what has happened to that franchise happen is just depressing. It was a big deal. The Pirates were one of the mainstays of the major leagues when I was growing up and when you were growing up, and to see it fall apart is just ridiculous.
It's sad. They'll be at Citizens Bank Park this weekend, which takes us to the Phillies here. A chance now with Suarez, Wheeler, Sanchez pitching. The Pirates, one thing they do have is some pitching. They do have some decent arms in their rotation. You'll see Skeens this weekend. But one thing I want to get your take on is because the last game we saw the Phillies in that doubleheader, it was Aaron Nola. Now, you and I spoke during the first game of that doubleheader. He pitched the night game and did not pitch well. 12 hits. Did not get out of the fourth inning. 1-7. I don't know. What are we starting to feel about this Nola? Do you watch him and say something's not right, or does he look like the same guy that you covered, his entire career? He's 1-7 with a 6.16 ERA, and the number that I think stands out, Mike, about him is the 151 WHIP. That is a number that really stands out because he's a guy that has generally had a low WHIP throughout his career. He's a 115 career WHIP. So that 151 stands out.
Yeah, it's a big concern, Mike. It's a huge concern for me. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to put my concern for Aaron Nola at 11, right? He's thrown so pitches, and I'll tell you why. He's thrown so many pitches and made so many consecutive starts in a row. You can't help but think is maybe something's going on with his arm. Is he just tired? And the other reason I call it 11, Mike, you said the record 1-7. He's going out there and he's costing them games. And we've talked the past couple of times I've been on about how good the National League is, how many good teams the National League has, how making the playoffs this year might not just be an automatic thing, or getting a bye into the division series might not be an automatic thing. His defeats and his pitching, what could that cost the Phillies when it comes to the postseason? They've got to get him straightened out. He's a veteran pitcher, I would imagine, and he showed some signs of life in his couple of starts, 2 or 3 starts before this previous one. But it's a big concern, and it's got to get straightened out, and it's got to get straightened out in a hurry because it can't go on like this.
What are the options if he just doesn't turn it around? They paid him for 6 more years. I think it's 6 more years, so he's getting some big money. And I can't imagine you're not going to demote him. You're not sending him to the minors. You're not sending him to the bullpen. You just got to keep trotting him out there. How does this go if 8 starts from now we're still having this conversation?
Well, I don't think we're going to be having this conversation 8 starts from now. I think it comes to a head much sooner than that. Because of what I said, they can't put him out there and have him pitch like he has in the majority of his games this year, where he doesn't give the team a chance to win. They've got too much at stake this season to do that. So if I'm them, I look at his 2 or 3 starts before this last outing where he seemed to be back on the right track, and I give him 2 or 3, maybe 4 more starts going forward. But if we have outings similar to the other night, I mean, then you're going to see him, have to take a rest or go, take a break, go on the injured list with a tired shoulder or something. Something has to be figured out there because, to me, the only thing is velocity is down, his command is off, and to me, those are signs of just wear and tear on that pitching shoulder. On the shoulder, he's been an outstanding pitcher. He's taken the ball every fifth day. Maybe it's just taking a toll on him, and maybe he just needs a break, a little recovery, work on things to get things better. Because it's clear now when he doesn't have his pinpoint command, he just gets shelled.
So we're looking at the negative side of Nola there, who's 1-6 with an ERA, as we mentioned, 6.16, 150 WHIP in 9 starts. That doesn't look good. But as you wrote over at PressOfAtlanticCity.com, Mike, is the back end of the bullpen starting to come into shape?
Yeah, well, it looks good. Kirkring has come alive. I kind of wrote that Kirkring and Jordan Romano have kind of reintroduced themselves as stingy, high-leverage relievers, which is not what they were in April when both of them struggled. But Romano especially has looked outstanding. Kirkring has looked like he's got some signs of life. You still have Alvarado back there. Strom is still kind of struggled, still iffy a little bit. I still think they need an arm or two out of that bullpen, but I feel much better about that bullpen with the way Romano and Kirkring pitched. That first game of the doubleheader, Romano very impressive coming in the 9th inning and striking out the side, and Kirkring getting a big strikeout in that 8th inning with guys on 2nd and 3rd. Those are the types, that's what we envisioned when we envisioned the Phillies bullpen at the start of the season, performances like that. So we'll see if those two guys can keep it going. I still think that bullpen needs another arm or two to really be in playoff shape.
We'll keep an eye on that as right. Romano has pitched really well recently. I like what I saw from Kirkring the other night. Check out his piece over at PressOfAtlanticCity.com. Mike, it's that time of the year. You were at a crazy game last night. That place up at the Diamond Classic looked packed, and a local team won the Diamond for the first time ever for them.
Yeah, Mainland Regional winning it for the first time in school history. The Diamond Classic, for people that don't know, it's always one of the highlights of the high school sports season. The 32 best teams in South Jersey, single elimination tournament, regardless of group size, best against best. And Jake Logic goes out there for Mainland last night, throws a complete game, 5-hit shutout as Mainland beats Haddonfield 4-0. The Diamond Classic, Mike, began in 1974, so this was the 51st Diamond Classic. Only 5 press area teams have won it. Millville, Buena Regional, St. Augustine, the old Sacred Heart School in Vineland, and now Mainland Regional. And Jake Logic, a University of Miami recruit, not only did he throw the complete game shutout last night, but for the tournament, he was 3-0 with an ERA, a 1.8 ERA or something like that. So got the story up on PressAC.com. Great performance by Logic and a great win for the Mainland Regional baseball team. Really history-making win last night as they take home the Diamond Classic, one of the most prestigious titles you could win in all of high school sport.
All right, you can check more about the game over at PressOfAtlanticCity.com. Mike's up on his way to the Phillies game, Phillies and Pirates. By the way, we'll get you out on this, our poll question today. Daryl Morey said on the Takeoff podcast with John Clark, we like our roster better now than we did entering last year. We have a chance to have a much better team than going into last season. Do you agree or disagree that the Sixers have a better outlook, will have a better outlook entering this year than they did last year? He has made comments that they had the 3rd best Vegas odds to win the title. He thinks this team will be better.
Well, it can't be worse. I'll say that.
He means the outlook. The outlook.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Mike, because I don't know how you can say that when you don't know. You can't depend on Embiid to be healthy and Paul George to be healthy. So I guess you could kind of fool yourself. You don't really have any other choice and say, hey, if Embiid is healthy, if Paul George is healthy, you put that with Maxey and you surround them with some younger players. Yeah, do I think the Philadelphia 76ers can be very good in that case? Absolutely. But I have no faith going forward that Embiid is. Why would I think he would be healthy or he'd be able to play? Why would I think Paul George would be healthy or be able to play? I'd love to see it, and when I see it, I'll believe it. But if an outlook right now, I can't agree with that at all. Only because I can't predict the health of the star players. Basically, to me, you're kind of deluding yourself there. You're kind of whistling past the graveyard, so to speak, with that sort of outlook. But what choice does he have at this point? You're not going to trade Embiid. You're not going to trade Paul George. You're just going to sit back as you walk past the graveyard at 1 a.m. whistling, the 76ers theme song and pray that those guys can play 50 games next year, basically, I guess.
All right, Mike, we'll get you out on this. Game 6 tonight. Will there be a Game 7? Knicks, Celtics.
Mike, it would be completely so New York Knicks that if they blew Game 6 and then they went up to TD Bank Garden on Monday night in Boston and won Game 7. But I just think that there will not be a Game 7. I think the Knicks figure out a way at home. Eventually the Celtics are going to feel that loss of Jason Tatum. They're going to feel it more on the road than they are at home. So, yeah, I like the Knicks tonight. It's not going to be easy. And let me hedge. Let me pull a Daryl Morey here and whistle past the graveyard. I'll say if the Knicks even lose, I still like them in Game 7. But I think the Knicks get it done tonight. But would not be surprised if we're talking on Monday and you're asking me about Game 7 Monday night.
Ooh, all right. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, everybody, getting ready for the weekend here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, man.
All right, we'll see you down the road. Thank you.
Mike's back on Monday. We'll look back at all the weekend events, what happened, and break them all down right here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. Bob Wankel, little Mike and Bob Friday baseball chat, 3 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts on Nola. What are the options there? Phillies, their lineup should be coming out soon. Got a lefty pitching tonight for Pittsburgh. And I think Nick Castellanos is out tonight on a paternity leave. So you might not see him tonight or maybe the whole weekend. Who knows? But he has like a consecutive game streak going, doesn't he? That it looks like that will be snapped as well. So we'll get that lineup and everything else. Bob Wankel in 12 minutes right here on the Sports Bash.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's Bennett Chevrolet's Memorial Day blowout with prices that won't be beat. That's right, Bennett Chevrolet selling new Chevys at GM supplier employee prices. And you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 20%. Who else can make an offer this good? Nobody. That's who. Get to Bennett Chevy's Memorial Day blowout all this month and save up to 20% on new vehicles with GM supplier employee pricing. And you keep all the rebates. Plus, you'll save even more with Bennett's available 0% financing. And if you're looking for your best deal on pre-owned, Bennett's paying a minimum $10,000 for any trade, no matter the mileage or condition. You'll get at least 10 grand towards any pre-owned. Imagine how much more Bennett pays for a good trade. And there's no need to negotiate. Never any haggles or hassles, because our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
This Memorial Day, turn up the heat with the Home Depot. Find the perfect grill and patio set to keep the cookouts coming all season long. Grill up a feast with the Next Grill 4-burner gas grill, only $229. And complete your space with the stylish Glen Ridge Falls 7-piece dining set, now on special buy for just $499 with free delivery. Take your Memorial Day cookout to the next level all summer long with the Home Depot. See homedepot.com/delivery for more details.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia. puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. Your lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh, did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, 2:53. Bob Wankel in about 7 minutes from now. Talking a lot about this Phillies weekend because of the opponent, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Can you imagine being a fan of a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates in any sport, by the way? Like, the Flyers haven't made the playoffs in 5 years. Right now, they're about as close as you get. They don't seem to be trying much in terms of signing free agents or spending money, but they have given us indication that they will get there at some point.
They have a plan, Mike. The Pirates don't have a plan.
Josh, fact check this, he says. He heard an amazing stat about the Pirates. They haven't signed a free agent to a multi-year deal since 2016. I saw something the other day about the biggest free agent that they've ever signed, and it was, like, pathetic.
I mean, it probably was pathetic because it was probably a desperate attempt by them.
Saratoga runs June 4th to September 1st. Breakfast at Saratoga is awesome. Yes, June 4th to September 1st. I figure I know there's a weekend. We have a station up in Albany, and my buddy was the host of that show for a while. He's not there anymore, but they used to do their show every Friday at Saratoga.
That's cool.
Yeah. What else we got? 609-403-0973. Oh, I'm going the wrong way on the text board. Mike Dover, Delaware says, I think horse racing's a lot like NASCAR. Daytona 500 equal Kentucky Derby. Other than the race, the majority doesn't really care much for the product. Bring back the chariot racing. I set up to watch those all the time. Yeah, but I don't know. The Derby is much more the fabric of just that spot. There's NASCAR races all over the country. Bob Wankel talks Phillies next.
The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN Radio.
The Celtics survive.
Brown for three up top. Ooh, got it.
With the Knicks up 3-2, the series returns to New York City. Can the Celtics survive once again?
Friday night, New York City. In an elimination game, the Knicks have not closed out a series at home since 1999.
Game 6 of the Celtics and Knicks. Coverage begins tonight at 7:30 Eastern. With tip-off at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to the NBA playoffs exclusively on 97.3 ESPN.
It's time to make your yard the best on the block with Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot. Start by keeping the weeds at bay with Earthgrow mulch, now 4 for $10. Then keep your garden thriving with Miracle-Gro garden soil, now on special buy, 4 for $10. Give your neighbors yard envy all summer long with Memorial Day savings going on now at the Home Depot.
Business owners everywhere are raving about ZipRecruiter's new feature, Zip Intro, which does the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates to meet with you as soon as the next day. So we decided to call up some of these employers and hear their stories. Today, we're on the phone with Pilates studio owner Crystal M. Harris. Crystal, how has Zip Intro helped you hire?
Well, I was opening a Pilates studio in McDonough, Georgia, and I needed to staff up quickly. Zip Intro did the work for me. It helped me find enthusiastic candidates who matched my qualifications perfectly.
That's great.
Yeah, I had my Zip Intro session on Tuesday, did all the interviews by Thursday, sent out the offers on Friday, and they started on Monday. Because Zip Intro did most of the work, I saved so much time.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, you can try Zip Intro for free right now at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Here in New Jersey, it's one wow after another after another after another. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. If you're ready for a hiking adventure packed with views, nature, and fresh air, it's time to hit the Appalachian Trail. Yes, the Appalachian Trail, right here in New Jersey. We've got 72 miles of scenic stretches, winding through forests, past lakes, and up to wow-worthy vistas. Snap some post-worthy pics, breathe deep, and find your own trail magic right here in the Garden State. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Tune in to the Bet365 Play of the Day during the Sports Bash with me, Mike Gill, every weekday afternoon at 5:45 on 97.3 ESPN. Made possible by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Get Memorial Day appliance savings at the Home Depot with up to 35% off, plus up to an extra $450 off select appliances like Whirlpool that can keep up with your busy routine. Whether storing weeknight dinners or packing coolers for the next sports practice, the Home Depot has the Whirlpool refrigerator with storage and ice capacity for everything you need to keep up. Celebrate Memorial Day with savings on select appliances at the Home Depot. Offer valid May 15th through June 4th, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Relay for Life of Atlantic County is a chance to celebrate cancer survivors and caregivers, remembered loved ones, and fight back against every cancer as we join together for every life. Funds raised support the American Cancer Society mission of ending cancer as we know it for everyone. That means funding cancer research breakthroughs that can help save lives and providing free patient and caregiver support. Visit relayforlife.org/Atlantic County NJ and join us on May 31st at 1 p.m. at the Police Activities League in Egg Harbor Township.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him, it's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
All right, a little Friday edition, Phils and Pirates tonight. We were talking earlier. Can you imagine, as much as we complain about the Phillies, weekly, almost daily, I should say, this is a team, the Phillies, you're complaining about, who's been in the playoffs multiple years in a row. Even when they were really, really bad for that 10-year stretch, you didn't anticipate that it was going to stay like that forever. They go out and get Bryce Harper. They go out and get guys like Wheeler, Schwarber, Castellanos, Turner. The Pirates are the worst franchise you could ever imagine. There's no hope ever for that team. A whole lifetime of no hope. It's unbelievable how bad they are. But they are in town with Paul Skeens pitching this weekend, guy to watch. What do you think is ultimately going to happen, Bob, with Skeens in Pittsburgh? I mean, they're going to have to trade him. I mean, they're going to sign him. I mean, I imagine he's not going to – I wouldn't imagine he would accept a contract from them. How's this going to go down? Because you'll get a chance to see one of the premier young pitchers in baseball this weekend.
Yeah, Pirates have some decisions they need to make. Do they want to be a serious organization, or do they want to just do what they've done for the last number of years, which is basically rip off their fans and give them no hope? And that might seem harsh, but – they're 21st in payroll. They've got some young, interesting players. Paul Skeens is at the top of that list. He's must-see TV. And they've surrounded that staff and Skeens with an offense that is not professional grade. They're 29th in OPS, and they're 30th in runs per game. It's an embarrassing offense. And so if you're not going to be serious about surrounding Paul Skeens with real talent, and the day's going to come where you have to pay him,
yeah.
You know, do you just ship them off and try to grab 5 really good players that are cheap and win that way? I mean, they're, like I said, 21st in payroll. And it just doesn't feel like that they are inclined to really make a serious push to be a legit contender.
No, not at all. I mean, we last night Painter threw up at AAA, and I mean, he wasn't like dominant, but he was pretty good again. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He threw 71 pitches. And Josh asked me, would I trade Painter and a bunch of guys for Skeens? And I was like, no, I have a guy in Painter who I think it could be at that level. He might not be as good or better, but I'm not giving up like 4 or 5 extra players just to get a pitcher back in return, and at least the Phillies have hope like that, though, where you could make a deal like that. Like, the Pirates are just dumping a guy off because they just don't want to pay him. That's the sad part about it if you're them. The Phillies, on the other hand, they're paying guys so much money that we bemoan the fact that they're not good enough, and that takes us to Mr. Nola. Wednesday night's the last time.
What a transition. Perfect segue.
Wednesday night's the last time we saw Nola. I mean, what is the take on him first? 1-6, an ERA over 6, the whip at 1.51. That's a number that jumps off to me. He's a 1.15 whip guy in his career. Let's start with, is this a broken guy right now? Just lost confidence? What do we make of what the numbers say he is right now?
Yeah, well, first, let's start with facts. Let's start with the numbers. He has the 4th worst ERA at 6.16 of 82 qualified starting pitchers. 5th highest batting average against, 3rd in home runs allowed per 9, 1.99 homers allowed per 9 innings. This has gotten off the rails. And, the game the other night, you build a 5-1 lead and you put a pitcher out on the mound with that pedigree making $25 million a year, and you say it's a disgrace that they lose that baseball game. But things have gotten so bad for Aaron Nola here that I don't think that anybody's really all that concerned about what happened on Wednesday night in isolation. It's more big picture. Like, is this a guy that we can count on to be reliable starting pitcher for us moving forward? And I think it's probably an overreaction right now on May 16th to say that this guy's baked or that he's cooked or this contract's going to be a disaster or go to those extremes. But I think there's got to be some real concern about Aaron Nola's season, his psyche, where he's at right now. And I will tell you, Mike, I was there on Wednesday night, like up close and personal, not in the press box, but behind the plate. I had really good seats, and I watched it. And I got to tell you, I thought he was lucky to escape the first inning. I thought he made a number of mistakes. He only allowed one run. I thought the second he settled in a little bit, but by the third inning, like, it was not accidental. I mean, they put 13 balls in play with an exit velo of 95 plus on him the other night. It's as bad as I've ever seen him look, and I think he's a guy searching for answers. And if you want me to say one thing nice after all of that, it's that I do think he cares. I do think that he is extremely despondent over what is happening right now. So he's not one of those, I got paid and I'm going to mail it in guys. Like, oh, I don't care. I cashed the check. So I know he'll work at it, but the days of Aaron Nola being a top 2 guy in a plus rotation, those days might be gone.
Well, listen, if that's the case, what then? All right. 6 more years on that deal, right? About $20 million a year, and you're already at the first year of it, and you're asking starts from, he's made 9 starts. 9 starts from now, we're having the same conversation.
Yeah, it's still so early to,
Oh, there we go. You froze up.
It's still so early to just say this is going to continue all season. We've seen as recently as 2 weeks ago, he goes 6 innings against Arizona, shutout baseball. I think that we know that Aaron Nola has it in him. I think the question is, does he have it in him consistently at this point?
And if he doesn't, 6 years, $20 million a year, I mean, what are your options here? I mean, I think we've talked before. We could bring it back up. You're not demoting him to the minors. He's probably not an option to go to a bullpen. Do you just keep trotting him out there every 5th day with an ERA in the 6s?
Well, so long as he's healthy, I think you have no choice because of the contract and because of the track record, too. If you want a silver lining in all of this, I mean, they are equipped to withstand it. They won 95 games last season where they started Taijuan Walker and a smattering of other guys who were completely ineffective. They can get away with doing it because Jesus Luzardo has been so good, because Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler are so good. They should be able to withstand Aaron Nola's struggles if they continue.
Yeah, Aaron Nola obviously high on the list of some concern right now. 1-6, 6 ERA, 151 WHIP, and paying him a lot of money at the front of what did he get, a 7-year deal?
7 years, a little bit less than 25 per year, and they'll have 5 years of that deal left after this season.
Yeah, that doesn't look great at the start of this thing right now, and we'll see how this thing plays out. Andrew Painter, he did pitch well last night. You have been steadfast, Bob. You think he'll be up sooner than later. He threw 70 pitches last night. I guess Nola now enters the equation of guys you have to think about, right? Especially after Suarez's last start.
Yeah, as far as Aaron Nola goes and some type of bullpen demotion, I mean, the Phillies are going to play this with an abundance of patience, and they probably can afford to. I mean, I know that they're 2.5 games behind the Mets right now, and I know that we live and die by every game and every start and every series, but you know the Phillies, and you know how they operate, and they're going to let this thing play out with Aaron Nola and give him every opportunity to try to right himself, because when he is right, is one of the better pitchers in the game, and that's been as recently as last season. And so I think they're just going to really slow play it. As far as Andrew Painter goes, look, there are some things that he's got to work on. He's thrown now across the 2 games, the first 2 starts at Lehigh Valley, 8 innings. He's walked 5. He's only struck out, I believe, 8 total. It's not like it's been otherworldly electric, blowing other guys out of the water with his stuff, but there's a lot of encouraging stuff here. And if they continue to progress that way and build him up to 90 plus pitches, I just don't think it makes a ton of sense to let him waste away in the minor leagues and burn those innings up down there. So again, I kind of think mid-June around Father's Day, to me, that's sort of the over-under that I'm looking at for him to be up here if he progresses as we would expect him to.
All right, that's good there. Good news on the Painter front. Obviously, he threw well again last night as he is progressing. Are we seeing progressing out of the bullpen here, Bob Wankel? We had another. Are we back on the Jordan Romano train? Or should we be buying Romano stock?
Well, he seems to be pitching with a little bit more confidence. 6 out of the last 7 appearances have been scoreless. Fastball velocity's up. I still think he's making a lot of mistakes with his slider. I actually think he just has kind of gotten away with that a little bit more recently, so I don't think that everything is fixed here. But certainly, given their bullpen situation and how desperately they need right-handers to step up in key spots, what we've seen from him over the last 2-3 weeks is certainly been encouraging. He at least looks like a usable piece, if not a leverage piece, but he might get there. I mean, we saw him close out the game the other day, 1-run game. He is starting to throw the ball with a little bit more confidence, and he's a guy that has had success as recently as 2023, and maybe he's back there. And then I thought for Ryan Kerkering on Wednesday in game 1, a huge sequence. He comes in a tight spot, gets 2 big timeouts, and it feels like we haven't seen that from him in about a month. So they need help, I think, from the right side out of the bullpen, and I think they still do, but certainly some encouraging signs there, at least on Wednesday.
All right, real quick, there's your lineup tonight, which is kind of interesting. Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos. I mean, did he not have a baby this morning? He is already out of the hospital and in the lineup tonight. Real Muto, Bohm, Sosa, Wilson, Rojas. Suarez pitches tonight. A couple quirks there. Number one, Castellanos, I guess that consecutive game streak means more than the birth of a child. Was he not at the hospital this morning?
Oh, look, I mean, you see the child, you spend some time with the family, and you go to the park for 5-6 hours. Maybe they let him come in a little late, a little tighter to game time first pitch, play the game, and then get back there, you know? I mean, I like that. He's probably trying to do a little bit of everything. I respect it.
Good stuff. So Castellanos is in the lineup tonight. I guess mom and baby, it says, are doing well, and Castellanos in the lineup tonight. He'll hit in the 4 spot. But again, there is a lefty pitching tonight. You did have a day off yesterday, Bob. It looks like Stott is not getting the opportunity still, even though Rob Thompson says, yeah, we'd like to see him against lefties. That sounds like a lot of lip service right now.
Yeah, it does feel that way a little bit. I mean, Heaney's a guy who is tough on lefties, and he got off to a really strong start this season. You look at his overall numbers, you go, hey, not bad. You know, ERA just a shade over 3. His first 5 starts, he had a 1.72 ERA. Opponents hit 165 against him. The last 3 times out, he has a 6+ ERA. Opponents hitting almost 300. He's given up 4 homers. He's a very like league average at best guy, and right-handers do damage against him. So the Phillies have obviously decided to lean into the splits and try to take advantage of it that way.
Yeah, so you're going to get Sosa playing second base, no Stott. That means Turner is back at the top of the lineup there. Weston Wilson also no Kepler tonight. Give me a weekly rundown, recap of the center field situation, because I thought it was odd that they played Marsh in the doubleheader both games there. And you know, he had a good game the one day. He looked like he was coming around with the bat. But here we are on a Friday again with this weird situation in center field. Rojas playing today, but you got Marsh both games. Are they back to platooning again? What's happening in center?
Yeah, every time the best thing between Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas, like the way that they can make themselves look better is by being the guy on the bench. It's like the guy that you have the guy that you see most recently is the guy that you're like, he stinks. For Johan Rojas' sake, you see a lot of Brandon Marsh on Wednesday and you say, well, this guy can't play. Let's get Johan back in there. And then Johan will go out there this weekend and probably stink. And then you'll want to go back to Marsh. I mean, look, you know me. I will give opinions, but I will always back it up with some type of statistic. And for whatever reason, people that watch this team seem to think that the center field position isn't as bad as it is. If they're 28th in OPS from the center field position this year, they're 24th in strikeout percentage. Johan Rojas has a 681 OPS. So for all of this, like, Johan Rojas is taking a step forward offensively. Like, no, he's not. He's a below average hitter, even in a season where he's performing okay to expectation. The Phillies center field position is a disaster From an offensive standpoint, it's okay when Rojas is in defensively. It's below average when Marsh is in defensively. They have got to address this. I know I sound like a broken record. Mike, if I worked for 97.3 ESPN and had a producer, the producer would say, Bob, you got to stop talking about the center field position. You harp on it all the time. Give me something different. And I can't do it because I can't overreact to things that I see day to day. I can react to something that I've seen be a problem for 10 years. These center fielders stink.
I agree. I like that. And by the way, Josh said he would not tell you to stop talking about that. He likes the passion. If they found a right-handed bat and played him in left field, would they consider playing Kepler in center field? Is that a possibility? Would that be an answer?
I don't think they want to do that, and I don't think that Max Kepler is equipped to play center field. But if it's Kepler versus Marsh, I don't know that there's all that much of a difference. And the problem is, and I think we've had this conversation before at some point, but it's not just that center field is a problem. It's that left field is also a problem. Max Kepler had a little hot streak there, but he's been, I think, generally underwhelming. He has a 605 OPS against left-handed pitching this season. So we know right now what we've known all along, which is that the Phillies need somebody that can play left and or center field and hit lefties. And it just continues to be the biggest vulnerability of this offense, and one that I think is going to hold them back.
No question. And, that's where we don't know what they think about Kepler big picture. They had said he was here to play every day. Well, now you got Weston Wilson in the lineup. Do they view a Weston Wilson, Max Kepler? Is that we all both agree on Marsh and Rojas, not good enough. Is a Kepler Wilson good enough?
Probably not. And look, I like platoons. I believe in the platoon in isolation. But when you start to talk about a team and you go, hey, is this a really good offense? Where do they stack up against the rest of the league? The Phillies, granted, now they struggled a little bit against St. Louis, but generally speaking, this offense has performed much better over the last 3 weeks or so. They're 10th in runs scored per game. You look at most of the stats, they're somewhere between like 8th and 12th overall. On base, they're actually top 5. So this team does some nice things offensively. But then you say, well, what do we really have here? When we look at the whole thing, big picture, we're basically running a platoon at second base between Sosa and Stott. You're running a platoon in center field between Marsh and Rojas. And then if Kepler can't hit lefties, and I think they're going to continue to give him the opportunity to hit against lefties more often than not. So I don't think you're getting a pure platoon, but you're basically starting to trend towards, based on the evidence, a Wilson Kepler platoon and left. Like, can you really be an elite offense and have 3 platoons running and then have a third baseman that has 2 home runs? I mean, that's a hard sell for me, man.
Sounds like the 93 Phillies. Didn't they have 3 platoons?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's some magical dust that was involved in that too, and I don't know that this team has it. So
are you insinuating that people were physically enhanced on that team?
I'm not. Actually, that's not what I was trying to do. But now that you make the point, I guess you could, maybe.
But that team is an example of how platoons work. You had Milt Thompson, a high average guy, and then you had a guy with a lot of home runs. So they complemented each other. Hey, you're a high on base, high average guy. The other guy hits a lot of home runs. He can hit for you. You can hit for him. That's how a platoon works. You have Wes Chamberlain, a power right-handed bat, and a left-handed guy who's a high on batting average guy in Eisenreich. Those are platoons that work. These platoons, not.
Now describe the center field platoon. You have a guy that from the right side hits 9 hoppers through the hole and has somehow gotten onto a 272 batting average so far, and the other guy from the left side can't even make contact half the time. So
that's what I'm saying. It doesn't work. Last thing for Bob Wankel, you mentioned platoons. You don't mind the platoons. Do you like the platoons pinch hitting for the other guy in like the 6th inning? You have like a line change of pinch hitters a lot of times, and then the next time they come back around, sometimes those decisions, is that they play by the book there pretty well. I mean, I don't say well, but that's the way they've been playing this thing. Hey, you're going to pinch hit in the 6th inning here. Well, then when the time you come up in the 7th or 8th or 9th, we change the pitcher, and now you're stuck as a lefty facing a lefty.
Yeah, I think sometimes when they don't do it, I think that's why they're a little bit reluctant. They say, like, are we likely to score if we pinch hit in this position? Because if we don't, then we're probably going to feel that on the back end in the ninth. And look, the reason why you do it is because these guys that you're subbing in and out, again, this all ties together. You're just like, well, okay, we pulled him out of the game. It's not like, oh no, we're not going to have name your player in the ninth. Like, oh no, we're not going to have Brandon Marsh in the ninth. Like, who cares? I mean, I don't mean to be funny and I don't mean to be rude about this, but like, it's just gotten to a point where, you watch this and you got to call it what it is. I mean, this is a decent baseball team. This starting pitching is really good. I think they're going to win somewhere between 90 and 95 games, just like I've thought all along, but they've got real issues here and they're going to have to decide if they can address them or not.
All right, Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, and, of course, you can check out, he's co-host of the Fighting Words podcast. You can check that out on all podcasting platforms. They had a new one drop this morning where he goes a little bit deeper into all of these issues, plus Trey Turner, who couldn't tag anybody out trying to steal a base. That's pretty bad. He's pretty terrible at that. And then he has the audacity to run into the dugout as if, hey, man, I got you. I mean, geez.
Yeah, Mike, have you ever seen Major League 2? Rube Baker couldn't throw the ball back to the pitcher.
Yes.
I kind of think that's what we got going on with Trey Turner and tagging guys out at second base right now.
Oh, man.
He needs to read a catalog or something while he's putting the tag down.
All right, a little Mike and Bob Friday baseball chat for you here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, man.
All right, Mike. Talk soon.
There he is. Bob Wankel, everybody, here on a happy hour Friday, on the Sports Bash Friday. You guys out there hanging out with us. 609-403-0973 if you want to climb in on the text board. Let us know what you're having on a happy hour Friday. We'll have the Rick Tocchet press conference, introductory press conference coming up in about an hour from now. There were a couple things in that press conference that really stood out to me. I'll tell you the one right now, all right? Right now, this is what stood out to me about the press conference. Danny Briere said, quote, "I want to be clear. The plan doesn't change here. Rick is a long-term solution. We needed a teacher. There's nobody better than Rick Tocchet." You'll hear the full interview coming up in an hour from now. When we come back here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, Jeff Kerr over at CBS Sports listed observation and notable quirks for the Eagles' schedule. I'm going to pick out the most interesting quirks that he put out there, and he put out a bunch of them, and I'm going to pick them out next, plus my Friday 5 favorite Week 1 and Week 2 games. I'm going to give you my Friday 5 today, and then 18 weeks from now, when Week 1 gets here, we're going to see if the same 5 games are still enticing to me, and we're going to do that every Friday all the way through the season and match them up. That's today, coming up in about 17 minutes from now on the Sports Bash.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hey guys, it's Mike Gill for Game Day Men's Health in Egg Harbor Township, where they're defining a new era in men's health. 1 in 4 men over 30 in the U.S. have low testosterone levels. Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, what are you waiting for? Get to Game Day Men's Health in Egg Harbor Township and get a customized game plan. Game Day Men's Health delivers premium testosterone replacement therapy, removes the stigma around erectile dysfunction, and supports weight loss with medical treatments and vitamin therapy. Fast appointments, expert guidance, and a free testosterone test and consultation with an on-site lab for results in just 15 minutes. Get stronger, get healthier, feel like your old self, and get back in the game. You'll wish you did it sooner. So why wait? Call Game Day Men's Health in Egg Harbor Township, 609-365-7088, or visit them on English Creek Avenue in EHT. And GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Tell them Mike Gill from the Sports Bash sent you for a special offer.
Get Memorial Day appliance savings at the Home Depot with up to 35% off, plus up to an extra $450 off select appliances like Whirlpool that can keep up with your busy routine. Whether storing weeknight dinners or packing coolers for the next sports practice, the Home Depot has the Whirlpool refrigerator with storage and ice capacity for everything you need to keep up. Celebrate Memorial Day with savings on select appliances at the Home Depot. Offer valid May 15th through June.
Phillies weekend. All these game sevens are going on.
I was going to say OKC Denver game 7 on Sunday.
Sunday. 6 tonight for the Celtics and Knicks. And if that game goes to game 7, that will be on Monday night, right?
Yes.
How about Castellanos playing tonight? Had the baby this morning. Said the heck with his paternity list. I'm playing tonight. I got a consecutive game streak going.
His obsession with playing every day is borderline psychotic.
Good for him, man. You show up to work. You do your job.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure.
So one thing he's done with that contract,
Right, this is
he has
true.
failed in living up to the contract, but he has showed up for work.
Every
You
day.
cannot question him about that. All right, Jeff Kerr, our buddy over at CBS Sports, put together a quirks and a whole bunch of stuff on the Eagles' schedule. Observation, notable quirks over at CBSSports.com. Have you seen this list yet?
I have not.
All right, it's fun. It's got a lot of stuff. Schedule highlights and schedule quirks, as he writes them. Would you like the highlights or the quirks?
I mean, I'm more interested in the quirks than the highlights because I feel like I can come up with my own highlights.
Okay, all right. Schedule quirks. The Eagles will be the first team in NFL history against 10 or more different playoff teams from the previous season. They have 11 games against playoff teams with playing Washington twice.
Right, playing Washington twice is definitely a part of that equation. I would also say
they play. If you take Washington twice, there's still 10 games against playoff opponents.
Well, I was going to say is you're also playing the AFC West that have multiple teams
and the
making
North
postseason and the North. So you're
they
playing
each had
two
three.
divisions.
6 of the 8 divisional games that you have to cross over are playoff teams.
Right. So it's definitely a very unique circumstance.
These are quirks. You would say it's not unique, it's quirky.
Quirky.
Philadelphia is the first defending Super Bowl champion with no back-to-back home games in the regular season.
Yep. We had that one yesterday.
Philadelphia will be the second team to play all 4 postseason opponents from the previous season in NFL history, joining the 1993 Buffalo Bills.
That's very interesting. And by the way, only one of those teams played the Eagles close.
The Rams. So, right, their run to the playoffs last year was Green Bay, the Rams, Washington, and, of course, Kansas City. They will play all 4 of those teams again this season. So, it's only twice that it's happened. The 93 Bills, that's going way back.
Yeah.
Over 30 years. The Eagles will be the first team in NFL history to play 7 road games against playoff teams from the previous year. Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Green Bay, the Chargers, the Commanders, and the Bills. 7 road games against playoff teams.
And when you say that, Mike, I immediately think of what Sal Palantonio told you yesterday on the Sports Bash about that.
They got no love whatsoever from the NFL schedule makers. I think the no back-to-back home games is absurd. You're the Super Bowl champs, Mike, and you look at the Kansas City Chiefs last year, they were back-to-back several times at home as the Super Bowl champs. So that's the love that you give to a Super Bowl champ. You give them the opportunity to string together some home wins, and the Eagles don't have that. It's a tough schedule made a lot harder by the NFL schedule makers. They did not get treated like the Super Bowl champ.
That was Sal Palantonio yesterday on the Sports Bash. The full interview, you can go to the YouTube channel at Mike Gill Show, and that was in the 5 o'clock hour, so about 3 hours into the show if you want to go listen to the full interview. It also will be on tomorrow for the best of in the 9 a.m. hour. All right, schedule quirk. Philadelphia will be the first team since the 2005 Saints to play all of its out-of-division road games against playoff teams from the previous season. Chiefs, Buccaneers, Vikings, Packers, Chargers, Bills.
That's just weird.
You're going back 20 years since this has happened. All of its out-of-division road games.
That's one of those, what are the odds of this happening kind of situations, right?
It's almost like you got to go out of your way to F a team like this.
Right. It's almost like the NFL was like, all right, well, if we can't get the tush push eliminated, maybe.
That's not official, but it will likely be eliminated here in the next week or two.
Well, the theory is it might be, but it might not be, because remember Goodell said at his press conference, he said they don't have the votes yet.
Philadelphia will have 8+ days of rest before facing the Chiefs. They will have 10 days. Vikings 10 days. The Packers 15 days. The Chargers 10 days. And the Bills 8 days before those road games. So they do have difficult road games,
right?
But they will have all of this extra rest because before they play the Chiefs, they play a Thursday night. But before they play the Vikings, it's a bye week. No,
the Packers is the bye week.
Packers is the bye. Before they play the Vikings, they play Thursday night
against the Giants.
Before they play the Chargers, they play on the Chargers on a Monday night,
and they play Black Friday.
And they play Black Friday.
So is that the trade-off? It's like, hey, we didn't give you back-to-back home games, but you get plenty of rest for road
right,
games.
So your road trips, you get extra time off.
So is that an
trade-off?
Trade-off?
It's a trade.
It is a trade.
It's better than some of the trades I'm getting on the text board.
Touche.
Yeah. I love these trades. 8 players for just throw every mid-level prospect we can find and try to get somebody. Those trades, the next one will be the first. Again, I'm surprised it's the guy's not in my fantasy league. Hey, I just picked 5 guys up off the waiver wire. Do you want them for I have the guy from the Royals right now, Bubik.
Oh, yeah?
He's been like a stud. I got people offering me like 5 waiver wire players.
Naturally.
For that guy. It's like, I got one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. You want to give me 5 guys that were just on the waiver wire?
5
like
guys
Otto Kemp has no value. 0. None.
He has value if he's like a throw into a deal.
Well, right. I'm not saying someone would say I don't want him, but he's not closing the deal. Neither is Rincones. The only guy right now who has some value, other than Miller, Crawford, and Painter. I think Mick Abel has rebuilt some of his value, but he's not getting you a top-tier player.
But part of the reason why he rebuilt his value is because he already had value. He was a top 100 prospect.
That's exactly right. The fact that he was a first-round pick has not pitched well and is now pitching well again, I think a team would say, okay, I would take a shot on him. The other guys have essentially no value.
And he's 23 years old. So he's still
Abel, I think you could throw him in a deal, not throw him in. He could be at the top of the deal, and you would say, we're giving you Mick Abel. Can we have so-and-so in return? The other guys are not getting deals done.
Right. If you pick up the phone and you call whatever baseball team you want to name, and you say, hey, how about Otto Kemp? They're going to hang up on you.
You know who's really not getting a deal done? Rojas. And I like Rojas probably more than everybody out there listening. You can't throw Rojas in a deal or Taijuan Walker. Rojas and Walker in any deal together, that's not going to get a deal done.
Again,
but you got to learn how to make a deal. You don't open the call with, hey, I got Rojas and Walker.
Well, it's like in Moneyball where, like, he didn't even offer people half the time. Remember, he wanted to talk about their guy. Remember, he would call Cleveland and be like, I want to talk about your guy.
Right. Well, anytime the other team asks, who are you giving me, you're not opening with Walker and Rojas
or
in
Otto
the
Kemp.
Same sentence. If you want to say at the back end, well, as soon as you bring up Walker, the contract, and okay, we'll eat the contract. We'll pay you to take Walker. Well, the other team might say, well, I don't even need Walker. What the hell do I need a guy who's a 5th starter for? I mean, the put it this way. A bad team doesn't need Walker. A bad team is not saying
right, you need
like the Anaheim Angels, okay, if you want to throw them in the mix. They're not taking they're bad. They don't need a Taijuan Walker. They're not looking for a veteran pitcher to throw in their rotation.
They're looking for Mick Abel.
They would take Mick Abel. He would be a guy that they probably would have some interest in. All right, here's the highlights that he throws out of this.
All right, highlights from Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports.
Yeah, and some of these we've talked about, but, the Eagles will play the Cowboys Week 1 for the first time since 2000. They'll host the Cowboys in Week 1 for the first time since 1970. And as Adam Caplan pointed out earlier this week, that game was at Franklin Field.
That is correct.
The last time they played the Cowboys at home. And it will only be the 5th time in the history of the franchise that these two teams will play in Week 1.
That's wild.
They will kick off the regular season at the Link for the first time since 2019. We talked about that the other day against Washington. They will play on a Friday for the 2nd consecutive season, and the team's first ever Black Friday game, which is not a holiday, everybody, in franchise history. So for the second time in a row, they will play on a Friday.
That's weird, but interesting.
That should
have been a quirk.
Is that what I was saying? Is that more of a quirk or a highlight?
That's more of a quirk because historically you haven't played football on Fridays in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, there's a rule that says you can't.
Right.
But they found the
loophole.
They skirted around the rule for Black Friday because they play, and that's why the game's at 3:00 in the afternoon. By the way, the point of the reason they play at 3:00 on Black Friday is because you cannot interfere with the high school football. It's a law that goes back to the 60s.
Correct.
So the game is at 3:00 on Black Friday. Not ideal.
No.
Well, if you want to get your shopping done, because shopping's a holiday, apparently.
Well, again, you can do it from home.
That's Cyber Monday. Is Cyber
No.
Monday a holiday?
Black Friday is still shop from home, too. Amazon.
Well, that's the Cyber Mondays for.
That's the second sale.
Right,
day.
but no. The Black Friday is brick and mortars have their deals.
Well, they're supposed to.
Right. But Cyber Monday is when the online stores then have their deals.
Historically, yeah.
Our business is going to start giving people off on Cyber Monday.
That'd be ridiculous.
They get off Black Friday.
Yeah, but that's because it's next to Thanksgiving.
By proxy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how, Christmas Eve is not a holiday, but a lot of people get off both days just because they're next to each other.
Well, most places, if you're a well-run business, you just give them the day off. But a lot of places make you take the day off. Like you have to put the vacation day in.
Right.
For Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, certainly Black Friday.
Certainly Black Friday.
Yeah.
Black Friday is much lower on the list of days.
Black Friday would be akin to
Good Friday?
Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Good Friday.
Just a sucker's day. Come spend money.
Sucker's Day. Got it.
Just come spend money. We're gonna make a day out of this.
I see where you're going now.
We're gonna brand this day so we can get you to come out and spend money.
Right. Come here and spend your money. We're making it a holiday.
And now the NFL is taking advantage of it.
Right. The NFL is like, hey, spend money with us too.
The Eagles will play on 5 of the 7 days of the week for the first time in the Super Bowl era.
Wow, that's a quirk.
No Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's a quirk.
Philadelphia will play New York in weeks 6 and 8, and Washington twice in 3 weeks in weeks 16 and 18. So you got 2 division games, both within 3 weeks of each other.
Yeah.
The Eagles have at least 5 scheduled primetime games for the 4th straight year. They are tied for the second most primetime games since the year 2000.
That is one I did not expect.
109.
Now, how do you feel about all these primetime games, Mike? You're not the fan who complains about stuff.
Yeah, I don't really care about I like a 4:25 Sunday game.
Mm-hmm.
You get the 1 o'clock games. You got to put your feet up, watch the games, and then at 4:25 you're kind of in there, and then at night you can kind of unwind a little bit. But I don't love the primetime games because now I'm getting old and I can't stay awake that late.
Gotcha.
But I can make an exception.
There's a little get off my lawn in there.
Yeah, and well, it's not because I have to get up early. I just keep getting up early. Like I have this streak of getting up in the 5 o'clock hour, and I just don't enjoy it.
Okay, got it.
7:30 would be a time that I'm okay with.
7:30.
If I could make it to 7:30, I feel like that's an accomplishment now. But after Eagles night game, it's kind of rough.
It is rough. I'll give you that.
Eagles only have one West Coast trip, Monday Night Football against the Chargers.
That is a big deal.
And then last, the Eagles have 2 short weeks in December, 15th against the Raiders and 16th against the Commanders. Both of them are 6 days instead of a full 7.
Interesting.
So those are your schedule quirks and highlights for the Eagles here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, coming up, football at 4 in 17 minutes from now. We'll talk with Adam Caplan today. He'll give us some reasons why the schedule was made the way it was. That's all coming up here on the Sports Bash.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him. when he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples prints it all.
Oh, you bet. Posters, banners.
Can you print it all for Father's Day?
Oh, of course. Photo gifts like canvas prints, photo puzzles.
Can you print it all for graduation?
Sure can. Custom cards and invites.
Can you print a huge banner with the grad's picture?
Oh, definitely.
Even an embarrassing baby picture?
Oh, those are the best kind.
I know, right?
Print it all for dads and grads at Staples. And right now, get 40% off custom cards, invites, and photo gifts. N75 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia, puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. You're lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh, did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Stylin'. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
In 62225, new customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
Here's Comedians and Skechers Getting Comfortable, presented by Hands-Free Skechers Slip-In.
Hey, I'm Bobby Slayton, and I'm here with my pal, comedian, and Skechers ambassador, Mr. Howie Mandel.
Why did it take so long to invent something as amazing as slip-ins? I know it seems simple, but it took Skechers to invent a better pair of shoes.
Yep, with Skechers slip-ins, you just step it and go. You don't have to touch your shoes. And by the way, slip-ins are for the whole family, men, women, and kids. In all your favorite Skechers styles, find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Another checkup? Why are so many people getting new puppies?
Dr. Kim's veterinary office is littered with cuteness.
We are booked solid for weeks, but who can say no to a puppy, right? Oh, good boy. Oh,
she needs to find extra vet techs to get those pups some extra love.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Memorial Day savings are here at the Home Depot. So take your kitchen to the next level with up to 35% off, plus up to an extra $450 off select appliances like LG. Plan your get-togethers with an LG refrigerator you can count on for years to come at the Home Depot. And with the connected ThinQ app, you'll know if the door is left open and when to change the filter. Spend less time worrying this Memorial Day with savings on LG, America's most reliable appliance brand, at the Home Depot. Offer valid May 15th through June 4th, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, 349 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and, of course, live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. All right, it is time for the Friday Five. The Friday Five, I will give you my 5 favorite games each weekend during the football season, right? The way this works is I give you my favorite games during the football season of the weekend that aren't Eagles games. So what we will do is I will give you the 5 games that I think will be the 5 games, and then we'll revisit these come football time. You got it?
Got it.
So my Friday 5 for today, brought to you by Broadley's Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and, of course, Broadley's, your trusted source for generations. Let's get into them. Got to get my list. Here we go. Week 1 and 2 I'll do because we actually have 16 weeks between now and the start of the season. So I'll fit the 2 weeks in here, and then this will take us right up to the start of the season.
Boom.
Week 1, my Friday 5. No particular order. Number 5, Texans-Rams.
Makes sense.
Not really. It's not a great schedule.
Well, you don't think Texans-Rams is a good game? Come on.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's not okay. Come on.
Texans-Rams, it's a Sunday 4:25 game. Well, I mean, you got 2 playoff teams, and the Rams are a team you're going to be keeping an eye on all year long.
Exactly. And the Texans are a team you want to see. Are they going to bounce back from last year?
Number 4, Vikings-Bears, Monday night.
Big game.
Big
debut
game.
of J.J. McCarthy, debut of Ben Johnson as the Bears head coach.
Definitely. I'm intrigued by the Bears. I know everybody that's like the hot team. I think the Bears are going to take a step. And I'm not a big Caleb Williams guy either.
No.
But I like the coach. I think the coach can help Caleb Williams out. They got some offensive line help there. So I like Vikings-Bears in my Friday 5.
Interesting.
Number 3, Sunday night, Ravens-Bills. It's an epic game.
Monster game.
Throwing that out in the first week. I was listening to Hans Schroeder. He's like the NFL vice president of whatever. Scheduling,
He's
something.
one of those executives.
But he was saying we want to come in with a bang. We want to give our fans who've been waiting for football for 7-8 months, we want to give them like bangers right off the bat. Bills and Ravens, big one.
Love it.
Number 2, Friday 5, week 1, Lions-Packers. Sunday 4:25.
Huge game. Lions, how much they going to be this year without the coordinators? Packers, they improved this offseason. Very interesting.
And the number 1, it's no particular order, Chiefs-Chargers, Friday night Brazil, game on YouTube.
By the way, free on YouTube. We should note that.
Yeah. So they're my Friday 5 for week 1.
I like
Not a great schedule. I mean, the last game I picked, which was Texans-Rams, the other options were Raiders-Patriots, Panthers-Jags, Dolphins-Colts, Bengals-Browns, Bucks-Falcons, Giants-Commanders, Steelers-Jets, Cardinals-Saints, Titans-Broncos, Niners-Seahawks. Maybe Niners-Seahawks I could have thrown in there. All right, week 2, my Friday 5. Number 5, Rams-Titans. Cam Ward, Rams. Not a great schedule in week 2. It's a 1 o'clock game. Rams-Titans, Cam Ward. Number 4, Falcons-Vikings. Sunday Night Football. You know, Falcons, Michael Penix, people forget, against J.J. McCarthy. Number 3, Bucks-Texans.
I like that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This one's, I mean, it's not a great week 2 schedule.
But, two young quarterbacks.
For whatever reason, the Buccaneers just don't do it for me. They're not like a glamour, high-profile team, but they're good.
I like watching Baker Mayfield.
Number 2, Bears-Lions. Ben Johnson against his former team.
That's the juice.
And number 1, my Friday 5, these are the best 5 Week 2 games in the NFL. We'll revisit these when the season comes back around. Thursday night, Washington, Green Bay.
That's a monster game.
Got to find out early if Washington's for real, for Rizzle. They're playing the Giants in Week 1.
Yeah, you can't read off of that.
So those are my Friday 5 for Week 1 and Week 2 of the NFL season, and we'll revisit those when we come back in the fall here on the Sports Bash. I'm Mike Gill. Coming up, it is a football extravaganza. We call it Football at 4. Adam Caplan is in the house. Going to give us his Eagles remaining post-draft needs that he is looking at. Plus, Adam Caplan was at the NFL National, or was on the NFL National Media Call, and will discuss the Eagles' schedule, the quirks, and the highlights. That's coming up next, right here on the Sports Bash, live on 97.3 ESPN, when we talk to Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds and the Inside the Birds podcast, right here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein. Nick Earnshaw joins me in the studio. The Pirates come to town for 3, and we'll talk Phillies baseball. The Flyers introduce their new head coach, Rick Tocchet, and I'll play my interviews with Tock and Keith Jones. Mr. Negadelphia PJ Korda checks in, brought to you by the Vassar Pool Service on the Sixers pick and the Eagles schedule. It's the 150th Preakness on Saturday, and we'll talk with the Fast Lane handicapper, Jeffrey Nash. He will preview the race. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
Get Memorial Day appliance savings at the Home Depot with up to 35% off, plus up to an extra $450 off select appliances like Whirlpool that can keep up with your busy routine. Whether storing weeknight dinners or packing coolers for the next sports practice, the Home Depot has the Whirlpool refrigerator with storage and ice capacity for everything you need to keep up. Celebrate Memorial Day with savings on select appliances at the Home Depot. Offer valid May 15th through June 4th, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
What? All the budget has to be used now? And we can use all the media buy?
Javier's marketing firm just got its dream funding.
Okay, ideas. Bobbleheads? No. T-shirt cannon? I seriously need some help here.
He needs to find marketing managers who are worth every dollar.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Sponsoring a job on Indeed gives it a visibility boost so you can hire faster. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Memorial Day savings are here at the Home Depot. So take your kitchen to the next level with up to 35% off, plus up to an extra $450 off select appliances like LG. Plan your get-togethers with an LG refrigerator you can count on for years to come at the Home Depot. And with the connected ThinQ app, you'll know if the door is left open and when to change the filter. Spend less time worrying this Memorial Day with savings on LG, America's most reliable appliance brand at the Home Depot. Offer valid May 15th through June 4th, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN.
That sounds great, guys.
WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN presents the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Adam Caplan, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
I give my heart and soul to this franchise, as so many of us do.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, whatever the sport, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms, is here as we take a look at some of the needs that this team has on the defensive side of the ball, where they have a lot of turnover and change. And also, the Eagles' schedule came out yesterday. Adam was on the NFL national media call, so we'll get some quick thoughts and quirks that stand out from him as the Eagles now know where and when they will play. And for the Super Bowl champions, of course, a lot of high-profile games, but this is a very challenging slate of games for the world champs.
It might good to talk to you. So let me get to my notes from the call. I've done these for like 20 years. This might have been the longest one. It was an hour, and they had to run the scheduling people, or they probably would have gone an hour and a half. And the cool thing is they did cover some Eagle stuff. Some were not. Some were brought up by the media, and some were not, where they're just the league gave an example. So let me explain so I know, because I listened to your show this week, so I know you had some questions that were similar to what I had. So, first of all, the Chiefs-Eagles game in Week 2, right? I know that surprised some people. Well, here's what the league said. Let's say you put it in Week 13 or 14. Well, it would not be last year's Super Bowl would not be fresh in people's minds. If you keep it in Week 2, you obviously, in this game, this is the home opener for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are obviously going to have the stench of losing that Super Bowl, so they're going to have revenge on their mind, where Week 13, Week 14, okay, who knows where the Chiefs will be. From a competitive standpoint, they might have the division wrapped up. So I totally get that. They actually addressed that. Now, I know you and I see this in the same way, the craziness of not having back-to-back home games. Like that hasn't happened here since 2008 with the Eagles. It's just very odd. Now, my sense is, Mike, we probably would have seen some back-to-back home games in October, but they have to take the Phillies into account if they're in the playoffs. Like that's a problem. You have the Flyers starting up. The Flyers play a number of Sunday games, for decades. There's Sunday 7 p.m. games. So they want to avoid traffic problems, and every team does this, but who has issues, like if you've got conflicts, you list this with the clubs. You send in your conflicts, and they try to accommodate the best that they can. And you know, it's funny, Mike, and we were all kind of wondering, and I heard you say this on your show, why are the Eagles playing Washington weeks 16 and 18? Something like that?
16 and 18.
Season?
16 and 18, yes.
16 and 18, right. And your point was a good one. Well, wait a minute. What if one of them wins the division and the other one's a wild card team? They have to go and play in Washington, or Washington plays here, so they could play them 3 out of 4 weeks. They don't look at it that way, Mike, where you and I look at it differently. They're all about getting the best possible matchups. They're not so worried about sandwiching them together. They did address that one. They didn't quite address it like the way you and I are, but they don't really care about what weeks of the year. They're more worried about rest. They call it rest inequity. They study this. They look at trends of, okay, Super Bowl teams, do they have great rest? Not enough rest. Now, here's another one for you. This one is another strange one. The Lions for all the road games, they don't have one at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's a weird deal. New for this year, the Thanksgiving game is going to go from 12:30 to 1 p.m. Eastern. They believe that this could get as many as 10 million more viewers just by moving it a half an hour, and obviously getting the game to end closer to 5 p.m. Eastern. So they think that they're going to get more, Mike. I mean, I thought that was interesting. But they didn't address some scheduling quirks, but what they made very clear is they want the best possible matchup. And this flex scheduling, they mentioned Washington. Like not literally, but figuratively, they make bets on which teams will be the best teams in the National Football League. So that's how they get these teams scheduled on primetime television. Well, last year, no one knew how good Washington would be. So this is where flex scheduling comes in. And I forget the term that they use. For games that just look like really bad, one of the teams is struggling, they want to have the ability to move a team like Washington, who comes out of nowhere. They have the ability to put them in and put them on primetime television. That's the beauty of flex scheduling.
Yeah, that's another, keep that in mind, the flex, so the Eagles could move again to another primetime window, I guess, later on at some point in the season. But, they will not play back-to-back home games the entire year, as Adam pointed out there. But I did hear Hans Schroeder on one of the podcasts out there, and he said, look, we wanted to come in with a bang. And I did hear him talk about they wanted that Super Bowl rematch fresh in people's minds, not waiting 11 weeks into the season and say, oh, well, by the way, these two teams played because an injury could happen. He
addressed it. Yeah, Hans Schroeder, in fact, Mike, that was the first thing I mentioned at the top here. He mentioned how having it in week 2 versus weeks 13, 14, or 15, there could be a number of issues. As I mentioned, both teams could have stuff clinched.
Yep.
Somebody could be hurt. And by the way, part of flex schedule is not only he actually mentioned this. I think it was Ani Bose and Hans Schroeder, Mike North. Mike North is, by the way, a Philadelphia native. Mike is the guy who really oversees the schedule, and Ani Bose oversees broadcast, all their broadcast partners, and Hans has been in the league for a number of years. And what they all kind of said was, look, there's things that they can't predict, but if something happens to a team. Like, for instance, one more thing before I want to get to, and we'll get to the Eagles here. Remember what happened when they made a heavy scheduling bet on the Jets last year. They rolled snake eyes because of Aaron Rodgers got hurt twice. He had an MCL sprain, I'm told, and a hamstring strain. Well, he was awful. He struggled, and they were bad. And they had the Jets in a ton of primetime games. It didn't work out for the NFL. So what did they do? They started pulling them off and putting other teams on, like Washington and others. That's the beauty of flex scheduling.
Yep. All right. Well, there's some schedule quirks and stuff from Adam Caplan here on the Sports Bash, but they still have some roster quirks that they need to figure out. Let's start with some of the things that they need here, and one of the big ones yesterday. Andrew was on with us. His initial 53. He has Dean on the PUP list, which would mean they have to find a linebacker to replace him at least early in the season there. Yeah,
we've talked about this for like 3 months. We were expecting Nakobe Dean to be on reserve PUP. It means he has to miss the first 4 games. That's the rule. Used to actually, by the way, used to actually be 6. Now it's 4. So right now, Mike, and we'll get started with we're going to start. We'll start in the middle here with their linebacker group. Remember, they start 2 inside backers. Barnes a starter, obviously, $17 million a year. Right now, if the season started today, it would be Jeremiah Trotter Jr. We talked about this late last season. We had heard that he had a number of practices where he looked really, really good. He's just a little smaller, not the greatest athlete in the world, but really smart, intuitive player. And behind him, it's Jahad Campbell is coming back from major shoulder surgery. We don't know, Mike, when he'll be available. They're getting through that. It's not a question will he be ready for the season. It's when will he be ready in training camp. When can he take contact on that surgically repaired shoulder? Smile Mondin, who they like, who's an undersized linebacker out of Georgia, who they really like in the 5th round. Dallas Gannon, who was an undrafted free agent last year. Land Dixon, an undrafted free agent this year. So they're a little bit light there, Mike. They could use one. So, and there's a great list of linebackers out there. If they sign a veteran, they're not going to want to spend money. You know who's out there, Mike? Who did well here for a while? Kaiser White is still inside. Who's played in the scheme before?
West Virginia guy, by the way. Yes, I thought Kaiser had a really good year with John Gannon here when he was here for that team that went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. That would be an interesting pickup if they were able to get him back here. So you look at the depth chart. You got Bourne, Trotter, Campbell, Mondin, and then Gant and Dixon. And if they can bring somebody out there, you mentioned Kaiser White. There's some other interesting names, as you said as well. So inside linebacker in flux, especially if Dean is not ready to start the year. And then, of course, Campbell, there's no guarantee he starts the year either. But I guess, they're anticipating that he will.
Yes, I don't get the sense that there's any question that he'll be able to play early in the season. What we don't know is when could he take contact on that surgically repaired shoulder.
Yes,
that's we just don't know. And by the way, they want to cross train him at inside backer and edge. So the sooner they know, the sooner they get him on there. And then the other thing is, Mike, we warn people after the draft. He has to learn this inside position. He only played it 2 years in his football playing career, the last 2 at Alabama. What Greg Cosell told us was, though his tape was intriguing when he played inside, he wasn't super instinctive because he's new to it. Well, a scouting source that's pretty close to Jeff and I told us the same thing. He said there's just some plays he's late because he's not quite natural at it. Yeah. So the sooner he gets on the field, the better, and then the earlier they're going to know about where his learning process is. So that's a problem. The next position, Mike, is cornerback. Now, opposite Quinyon Mitchell, right now it's Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo. And Eli Ricks, remember, Mike, last year, he ended the 23 season playing a ton. Well, the new coaching staff, Vic Fangio, Christian Parker, who's a defensive backs coach, they demoted him to third string. So right now, Mike, he's got a chance with Darius Slay moving on. Mac McWilliams, a 5th rounder out of Central Florida. He's a undersized corner who could play inside. He could play nickel or he could play outside. And Tariq Castro-Fields out of Penn State, a former 49er draft pick, and B.J. Mason, an undrafted free agent. Do they have enough bodies? Yes. But the good thing is there are a bunch of veteran corners out there in the market. If by mid-August Howie Roseman, the Eagles GM, is not happy with what he sees, there'll be plenty of veteran corners out there that they could sign.
Yeah, Asante Samuel Jr. is an interesting name. He's banged up a little bit and been a little bit of a disappointment, I guess, in the league. Gilmore's a veteran if they want to go down that route. Rasul Douglas seems like he's always out there.
Rasul Douglas,
Yep, there you go. All right, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Mike, with Asante Samuel Jr., he has a neck issue. He's a starting quality corner. Stephon Gilmore turns 35. Rasul Douglas, former Eagle, 3rd rounder in 2017. Fabian Moreau could run. C.J. Henderson, a former 1st rounder for the Jaguars. Cam Sutton, who was with the Steelers last year. And then the next position is D-tackle. And let me just go through this one. It's interesting. We know who the starters are going to be. It's going to be Jalen Carter. The Eagles believe Moro Jomo will be a starter. And then their starting nose tackle will be Jordan Davis. That's their 3-man line. And then the depth will be Ty Robinson, the 4th rounder. Thomas Booker will back up Jordan Davis as he did last season. Byron Young, who really didn't play for them, they claimed off waivers from the Raiders. And Gabe Hall was an undrafted free agent last year. They brought back. So, look, they showed last year they decided not to sign a veteran as we understood, they looked at it. They didn't like the list. So they didn't do it. There are plenty of veterans out there. This is where you go in OTAs. You see how Ty Robinson does. How does Byron Young, a former third-rounder, do, formerly of the Raiders? And you go from there, and then they'll decide from there whether they need to sign anyone.
All right, Adam. You look at the defensive tackle room. You mentioned a little reworked room with Milton Williams no longer here, who will kind of jump into that spot. You outlined that. The other spot would be where they lost Josh Sweat. Do they need – I mean, they got a bunch of these guys. They've thrown the darts at Ojulari. They threw a dart at Uche. They have Huff that they gave $50+ million to last year. So do they think they're okay there?
Well, they have plenty of guys. They have too many guys, to be honest with you. So it's Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt right now would be your starters. Azeez Ojulari figures to be the first guy off the bench. Josh Uche is trying to revive his career, also in a one-year deal like Ojulari. Bryce Huff is in year 2 of his 3-year, $51 million deal. All the $16.75 million is fully guaranteed this season, so they're not going to cut him. They're going to just see if he could contribute. Powell Ryland, their 6th-round pick. You know, Mike, I got some good information on him today. Why did he drop despite having 25 sacks over 2 seasons? Doesn't have long arms, not a great athlete. Not super explosive, but is a one-speed pass rusher. So the more information we get, the more we understand why he dropped. It's still surprising because he had a lot of production. So you figured he'll have a chance to make it. Jahad Campbell, we expect to play some edge this season. O'Shawn Mathis, a former draftee by the Rams, and Patrick Johnson, who's back again to play special teams with KJ Henry, who was a 7th rounder for Washington years ago. So, Mike, they don't need anybody. They just need to see what it looks like in training camp. Now, if Uche has not regained anything, it's the last 2 seasons he didn't do much. If Ojulari gets hurt, he's been hurt almost his entire career, spent a lot of time on IR. If none of these backups do anything, then they could sign someone. But right now, they don't need to add an edge rusher.
All right, we'll see. That one's going to be in flux, I would imagine. If these guys do their job, if Bryce Huff can do what they sign him to do, then probably don't need the edge rusher. Yep. But that one remains in flux. And then, do they need a safety? I mean, this is a very green as grass room. You got, Makuba's a rookie. You got Brown, who's got very little experience. Lewis Seen's been hurt a lot. I mean, there's not a lot of experience in this room.
No, but Blankenship's a stud. Like, he's been in great story development. He's surprised all of us, to be honest with you. He wasn't drafted, Mike, let's not forget, but he's turned out to be a really good football player. They're expecting Makuba to start opposite Reed Blankenship. That's why they took Makuba in the 2nd round. That's a starter round. Sidney Brown right now would be the 3rd safety. That's the way we project it to happen. Lewis Seen, by the way, who's a late 1st rounder for the Vikings in 2022. He hasn't played meaningful football in 3 years, but as we noted at the time, the Eagles signed him off the Bills practice squad and gave him a 2-year deal for a reason. The 25 offseason was what they wanted. They wanted to get him there and take a look at him. Let's see what happens. We don't know if he's got anything left, but he's still very young, and he's healthy. We thought he's totally healthy. He was healthy last season with Buffalo. Andre Sam, who was an undrafted free agent out of LSU last year. McCollum this is his 3rd year. And my guy, Maxon Hook, who was a rookie, who was an undrafted free agent this year. He's a guy who's got a real shot to be the 4th safety. By the way, out of Toledo, a school that Nick Sirianni knows very, very well.
There you go. We'll look at some of the offensive depth issues that they will have this offseason that still need to be questioned. And one big question on the offense with Adam on Tuesday's show that I have for you, Adam, that we'll talk about on Tuesday's show. There's a look at the defense and, of course, a little bit on the schedule, which came out on Wednesday night right here on the Sports Bash. Football at 4 with Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
All right, there's Adam, and, of course, he's back on Tuesday next week here on the Sports Bash. There is some breaking news with the Phillies, by the way. Aaron Nola has been placed on the injured list. Nola will go on the injured list with a right ankle sprain, and to fill his spot, Daniel Robert has been called up, but that is not all. On Sunday, to fill Nola's spot in the rotation, it will be the Major League debut of Mick Abel, who will start the game against Paul Skeens on Sunday. It is not Andrew Painter getting the call. It is Mick Abel who is getting the call up to Philadelphia. and it looks like he will start the game on Sunday. But for sure, we know that it is Nola on the injured list. And, yeah, we talked about this the other day. I was wondering if the Phillies would just kind of come up with an injury thing and kind of have him get away, because they're not going to send him to the minors. They're not going to demote him to the bullpen. So what I suggested, I guess, earlier, maybe yesterday, was that, the possibility for Nola to kind of go on an injury situation and just kind of get away, similar to what they did with Marsh.
Yeah, this is something we have talked about before, Mike, you and I, about, and I call them phantom injuries, the idea that you just come up with an injury to just get the guy off the field. I'm a little surprised what they called it there, Mike. They're referring to his ankle.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. We haven't heard anything that he has any ankle problem.
He did have an injury earlier this year. They are not calling. Remember, he had a serious neck strain that almost kept him out of that Cubs game a few weeks ago. So I was thinking they might go back to the neck, right? Be like, he's already had a neck problem this year, but for whatever reason, they're going with this right ankle injury, which, if you think about it, Mike, is interesting because that's the plant leg on the mound for a right-handed pitcher.
So Christopher Sanchez will now pitch on Monday.
Correct.
And they will have Abel pitch on Sunday. So it's going to be Mick Abel and Paul Skeens.
Dude, this
Sunday.
is amazing.
Yeah. And
get your popcorn ready. Get your happy hour Friday beer ready. Get all your accoutrements ready. We got two young studs slinging it on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and keep this in mind. Mick Abel, who we just talked about, he's one of the few guys in the Phillies organization who have kind of generated some, they have three guys who have trade value: Miller, Painter, and Crawford. The next tier of guy would be, now you're going to like Tate, who's a young 18-year-old kid, Escobar, and Abel. After that, you're dropping down another tier. Like Otto Kemp is like a tier 5 prospect. I mean, he is essentially an older guy who is kind of out of prospect world. So those guys just don't have the value. So we're talking about, if you're trying to find a way to improve this team, if the Phillies look at Mick Abel and don't have plans for him to be in their organization or rotation or whatever it is, now that might change with Aaron Nola's season right now. They might be saying, look, Aaron Nola might not make it through the 7-year contract. We might have to keep Mick Abel around in the event that he is not the Aaron Nola that we thought we were getting.
But this is going to be a great opportunity to find out what he is on Sunday.
Well, and that's what I was getting to, is the fact that they call him up here and he gets a chance to now show big league, his stuff against big league hitters, that might ramp up his level of value to another level.
And guess what? If he looks good this Sunday and a couple more starts, maybe teams start picking up the phone and calling you and being like, what do you want for him? And then now you really can rake somebody over the coals.
Well, that is where you get to the point where you say, okay, now we could maybe try to find an impactful major league right-handed bat. If you're interested in this guy, now we can start talking, because he just showed he can now. He's playing in the Pirates. Not the best lineup in baseball. Coming up, so there's the news. Nola to the injured list. Abel will start on Sunday. Coming up next, Rick Tocchet introduced to the media today. You will hear his press conference in its entirety next on the Sports Bash, live on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the home of the Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles fans, savor it and rejoice!
97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
This Memorial Day, turn up the heat with the Home Depot. Find the perfect grill and patio set to keep the cookouts coming all season long. Grill up a feast with the Next Grill 4-burner gas grill, only $229. And complete your space with the stylish Glen Ridge Falls 7-piece dining set, now on special buy for just $499 with free delivery. Take your Memorial Day cookout to the next level all summer long with the Home Depot. See homedepot.com/delivery for more details.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you gotta hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Want to stay out of the dark the next time a storm hits? Then reach out to Calvi Electric, a certified Generac dealer. From installation to maintenance, they're your go-to experts for Generac generators, ensuring your home stays powered through any storm. A Generac home standby generator will automatically restore power to your home during an outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Put your trust in Calvi Electric, the premier electrical contractor serving South Jersey for over 115 years. Visit calvielectric.com today and stay ahead of any storm.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. The Phillies hosting the Pittsburgh Pirates tonight, starting a 3-game series. Philadelphia splitting a doubleheader Wednesday against the St. Louis Cardinals, winning Game 1 2-1, but then losing Game 2 14-7. It'll be Ranger Suarez getting the start tonight for Philadelphia. The Pirates going with Andrew Heaney. The Flyers introducing Rick Tocchet today as their new head coach, the 25th in franchise history. Tocchet spent 11 seasons playing for the Flyers and is in the team's Hall of Fame. Philadelphia fired John Tortorella back in March and played under Brad Shaw for the rest of the season, missing out on the playoffs. The Eagles releasing their 2025 season schedule on Wednesday. They'll open up September 4th at home against Dallas. They'll also play Kansas City in a Super Bowl rematch in Week 2. Philadelphia will also be playing the day after Thanksgiving against the Chicago Bears. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
New Jersey's got a lot of summer wow. We got your under the sun wows. Your this is too much fun wows. Your that wine was sublime wows. And your one more time wows. So come see what your wow's gonna be. New Jersey, it's one summer wow after another after another. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
Good afternoon with your South Jersey weather forecast. I'm Joe Kelly. Going to be cloudy for the most part tonight. A low temperature about 63. Tomorrow looks hot. We're going to start off with some clouds in the morning, giving way to lots of sunshine in the afternoon. Lots of heat, too. Tomorrow's high all the way up to 85 or 86. The outlook for Sunday, pretty good. Sunshine and 76. And your back to work Monday will be sunny with a high of 77. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. You have a great weekend. I'm Joe Kelly.
The 80s Rock Tour, featuring hits from Foreigner, Journey in Asia, is coming to Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City May 16th with legendary artists Lou Gramm, Steve Algeri, and John Payne performing all of their classic hits. Get tickets now at theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
You come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. Earlier today, Rick Tocchet met the media for the first time. His press conference, we'll have it for you live in just a moment here on the Sports Bash. Well, not live. It happened at 10:30 this morning. But some of you may have been working, and now you're getting out of work and said, man, what did Rick Tocchet have to say? Well, I will highlight the number one thing that stood out to me. It was right at the beginning. Danny Briere said it. I want to be clear. The plan doesn't change. Rick is a long-term solution. So the plan doesn't change. They're not going to try to accelerate this thing. And he's not going to get fired in the first year if things don't go well. That's what it sounds like. He said, quote, "We needed a teacher, and there's nobody better than Rick." Here is Rick Tocchet, the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, right now on the Sports Bash.
Before we start, follow up on Joe, I just want to acknowledge our alumni that are here, our fans that joined us, and all of our staff being present here. This is a big day. It's a big day for the organization. I'm very proud to announce Rick Tocchet as our new head coach for the Flyers from this point on. So it's a big day. I'm very excited. I think it's an exciting time for the whole organization, and good times ahead coming up. Before you start asking me questions, the one thing I want to make clear is the fact that the plan doesn't change here. Rick has been part of this before, has coached some younger teams, has coached some veteran teams. We see him as the long-term solution for our head coaching position. The other part that we touched on before, I think I was at my year-end presser, you asked me what we were looking at for a coach. One thing that I said was we needed a teacher. And I think there's nobody better than Rick to teach our young guys. I saw it firsthand myself when I came in the league as a 19, 20-year-old. I had the chance to play with Rick, and he was a mentor to myself, and I learned a lot from him. One of the things is, the time he spent on the ice working on his craft, and now he wants to pass that on. He's done it for the last few years, and I know he wants to do the same thing for our young team and our young guys that are coming up. The other thing that I mentioned was we needed a communicator. That's one thing Rick Tocchet does, is he builds relationships. He's good at it. I talk to a lot of players around the league, players that are still playing, players that are now in management positions, scouting position, coaching positions around the league. And the one thing that kept coming up is how good of a communicator he is with his players, especially, and how he builds relationships. So part of the reason why I'm so excited to have him as our next head coach. Thank you, Rick.
Well, that was really good. Thanks, Danny. I appreciate that. Oh, that's good. Thanks, man. I don't even know where to start. As I was walking out, Jonesy said you're walking the plank. So I don't know what that means. Listen, I'm so excited to be in this area. I was a young kid, 19, when I came over the Walt Whitman Bridge to play my first game at the Spectrum. And now I've been gone for about 20-something years. Learned a lot as a player and as a coach over those years. I've been very lucky to get ideas off some of the greatest minds in hockey in the last 25 years. And I hope to bring back some of that knowledge. But speaking for the area, the fans, I mean, how do you not love the Flyer fans? I remember, I think it was you guys held the draft here, I don't know, many years ago, and I was with Pittsburgh at the time. Let's hear it, boo. So anyways, I remember going up announcing the first pick, and I got booed, and I was like, man, I love these guys. So that's what it means to be a Flyer, right? Heart, passion, winning, going through this process with the ownership, Dan Hilferty, Jonesy, and Danny, the plan that they had, listening to where they wanted to go with this roster, and it really excited me where they're going. We know it's not going to be easy. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's my job to develop these players. We got some really good hockey players on this hockey team, and I take it very seriously to make sure that they maximize their talent. I could go on for hours, but I'm so excited to be in this area, and I'm very appreciative of the ownership, the management, Dan and Jonesy, for giving me this opportunity and trusting me, with this team. So saying that, I'm happy to be back. Thank you.
All right, we'll open up to the main Q&A.
Again, please raise your hand if you'd like the microphone and direct your question to one or both of the individuals up here.
Hey, Rick, over here. Al Morgani from NBC Sports.
Where is he?
Yeah, right.
My soup buddy.
Yeah. Obviously, there are a lot of options for coaches, like musical chairs. What attracted you beyond wanting to come back to the area for a roster like this and where this team is in a rebuild? What sold you on this as being a good place to be?
Yeah, I think when you as a coach or anything in life, you want to check the boxes. Stability, box checked. Relationships, box checked. The passion of, and then obviously the area, the fan base, box checked. But I'm a big relationship guy. I know just from the past being here, working with good people, I think makes you successful. So for me, those are the attractive things for me. Obviously, the roster of the team, the potential, the prospect pool, the cap space that's coming here. There's a lot of positives for this job. It's an attractive job. It's it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best jobs in hockey, and I'm very fortunate to get it.
Rick, Kevin Curzon, The Athletic. You mentioned stability was the first thing that you just mentioned in the boxes there. When you look at this organization, that was maybe an issue for a little while, up until a couple of years ago. What gives you the confidence that it is in a stable place right now, not just maybe from a hockey perspective, but also from a management perspective?
Well, it's like I said, going through the plan. I mean, if you look at it, what do coaches want? There's a lot of draft picks. There's a lot of prospects, untapped talent. The stability, obviously, of ownership. Sorry, guys. I walked around that practice facility. I walked around here, like the inside, the bowels, right? There's so many tools to work with. I mean, the practice room has 3 sheets of ice. Like, as a coach, you're like, oh my God, these are the things you want as a coach. So those are attractive things to help me be even a better coach. So that's why I think I can't speak for the past. All I know what I see now and the relationship of the people that I'm dealing with now, and it excites me. Can't breathe. Sorry, I choked up.
Hey, Rick, Adam Kimmelman from NHL.com. You had Travis Sanheim and Travis Konecny in Four Nations. I know that's a small window, but are there any players that either you are familiar with or that you're most looking forward to working with here moving forward?
There's a lot of guys. I'm not going to get into specifics, so we could sit for half hour and tell you why I like these players, but there's a lot of talent in this team. Speaking of like a guy like Sanheim, I remember for the Four Nations I was in that meeting about what players, what defense, and I remember I forget where they had him on the depth chart, and I remember we discussed him and a couple of the high level coaches, the Coopers of the world, and we all talked about, man, this guy can play. And then when he made the roster, how well he played in the Four Nations. I mean, I'm telling you, I was behind that bench, and that's high level stuff. I had the best seat in the house, and to see him perform with the best defenseman in the league, so that's a big plus. To get a frontline defenseman like that on your team is a plus for me. And obviously TK, I thought he was terrific for just getting to know him. Just as an assistant coach at the time, his work ethic, the way he was in the room with all these guys, I really was impressed with his leadership. So I'm interested, very excited to work with a lot of these guys. I think I can really help some of these guys, not to speak the names, but they got some star players here that in the making, and that's my job to really maximize those guys.
Rick, this is Charlie O'Connor with PHLY, but this question is actually for Danny. Danny, you mentioned about one of the big reasons why you think Rick is a good fit is his abilities as a teacher. You talked about him mentoring you as a player, but I guess what in Rick's track record as a head coach tells you that he'll do a good job teaching this young group? It's funny. Most people would probably focus on the job that he did when he won the Jack Adams a couple years ago, and that was quite the turnaround in a short amount of time that he did there. It was a really impressive year for me. When I look at the track record, one of the most impressive part that stood out, and that's from watching at the time, was his stint with the Coyotes. He had, and I'm not trying to take it on the players, but he had a pretty depleted lineup at the time, and a team that probably was, I remember at the time that the experts were saying that the Coyotes would be last in the NHL and get the first overall pick, and he made them competitive. They did make the playoffs the one year, and they were in the running, playing good games. So that body of work for me was probably the most impressive part of his coaching. And you can't forget what he did, part of the 2 Stanley Cup, being part of that staff in Pittsburgh, being part of the 4 Nations staff last year, working with some of the best players in the world. So, his track record is pretty impressive.
Hey, Rick. Anthony Sanfilippo from On Pattison. We hear a lot about your ability to communicate with players, and that's one of the things that these guys like the most about you, bringing you in. We've heard former players of yours talk about how much they've loved playing for you. As a guy who's played in a different era, how did you kind of learn to deal with today's athlete, and what's different about it now than maybe it was when you first broke into coaching?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think breaking in as a player, it is a different era, right? Coaches told you, hey, do this, and you just did it, right? You were scared to ask why. Now, this generation, they want to know why. They're smart guys, and they want to know why. We're doing this forecheck because of this. They want to know why we're doing it this way. And it's my job to make them buy into it, obviously, but you have to accept that as a coach. And I enjoy that. I'm a partner with the players. It's not a dictatorship. You're not going to last in this league if you think, you're going to tell these guys what to do every day and have all these type of rules. But I think if you partner up with a player, listen to them, and there's got to be accountability. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely, that's my job to steer the ship. But I think it's important that you let the players steer the ship too. And they have a lot of good ideas. I've learned a lot from a lot of great hockey players. I'm not going to name a bunch of these guys, but there's some high-level guys that I got a chance to talk to and, learn different systems or dealing with players, and then using your staff in different departments. You got science, you got the mental skills coaches, you got your assistant coach, you got management, ownership. You can't be afraid to use those guys. And quite frankly, sometimes some guys might be better than you at something, and you can't be afraid of a head coach not to utilize those tools.
Rick, Siobhan Nolan from the Hockey News.
Sorry.
You've mentioned how important it is for you to build relationships and communicate with these players. But as someone who is a former player and you have that firsthand experience of being in front of these fans and being in this market, how much of a unique strength is it for you to be able to relate to those players firsthand on that level?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think when a player walks in that door, practice rink of this facility, they want trust, right? And they want accountability, obviously, and they want to feel safe, right? There's a lot of, sometimes people, the world we live in now, a lot of outside noise, and it can affect players. So my job is to create a safe environment for those guys where they can feel as soon as they hit those doors that they're taken care of, that, we're going to help them as much as possible, and partner up with them. So, yeah, getting trust from the players is something that from day one is my goal, is to make sure that the players trust me.
Hi, Rick. Hi, Danny. Jordan Hall from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Danny, this question is for you. You said you had a lot of conversations with Rick's former players. Did any names or conversations really stand out? Can you maybe shed a little light on what you heard from these players?
Well, I'm not going to name names that I talked to. I'm going to keep that private for them. But it was all positive. The one thing that kept coming up, like I said, was the relationships that he was able to create. a lot of the players say you feel like you have a voice, you feel like you're listened to, and that you're part of the team. That's kind of the gist of most of the discussions that kept coming back. I was digging, I was trying to find some bad stuff, and unfortunately, I haven't gotten there yet. We'll work on that later on.
Rick, Bill Meltzer from PhiladelphiaFlyers.com. My question is, towards the later part of the year, there were some very popular and highly respected veteran players that were moved out. Scott Lawton, for example. How important is it to you to see some of the younger guys there kind of take a bigger bite out of leadership and kind of bring the group that much further, as a room and as a team?
That's huge. I think some of the former guys I played with here, they'll tell you the room is huge. The leadership, making other players evolve in that leadership role is huge. So there's some guys in there that have leadership qualities that we got to get out of them and give them a chance, give them a rope to be a leader. So yeah, when you lose, these type of guys, like, and that's the one thing I noticed when guys got traded out of here, how upset. And everybody's upset when you get traded, but nobody wants to get traded from the Flyers because they do stuff so well here in the locker room, a very tight group. That's what I want to continue. I thought Torts did a hell of a job of hardworking team that cared about each other. So hopefully I can keep that tradition going here.
Rick, Sam Carchidi from the Hockey News.
Yeah.
I know you're in the middle of a rebuild right now. Yeah. What positions do you think you have to upgrade to expedite the rebuild? And Danny, for you, do you think that having Rick here will help attract free agents?
Let me go first. Yeah, I think going through the process with Danny and Jonesy and Dan, I think looking at the roster, there's a talent pool here that's untapped. I really believe that, and I'm going to strengthen, of course. And that's the one thing with talking to Danny about and Jonesy, they're not shy about. They want to swing the bat. At what time? That's their job. But whatever I have in front of me right now is something play without the puck is something very important to me. Being a smart team that doesn't beat yourself, protecting certain players is something that we can do around here. But I feel there's enough here to get the ball rolling and keep the ball going where these guys got the directions going.
And on my end, there's no doubt that Rick is going to make us more enticing for players to come here. There's no doubt about that. There's already agents calling and letting us know that and that's kudos to him for the relationship that he's built and the reputation that he's built over the years. It's so positive in that regard that there's no doubt in my mind that yes, it's going to make us more of an attractive team to join.
Hi, Rick. Hi, Danny. Haley Taylor, Simon here from Phillies Sports Network. Have you thought about any assistant coaches and more specifically how to address the power play heading into next season?
Yeah, my head's already going. We got some things we're looking at. I think it's important that we do this properly. Yeah, the power play is a sore point, and I get it. It's something that we're going to have to dive into. I have some thoughts. Excuse me. I have some thoughts on it, and there's some really good people out there that we'll take a look at. And there's some guys I think on this team that we can unleash because there's some guys there that have offensive minds, and we got to let these guys be creative out there with the power play. But just like anything, a good PK, power play 5-on-5, you got to have all elements to be a good hockey team. So we'll dive into that as the days go on.
Rick, you've had the privilege of coaching some really high-end players during your time. Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Steven Stamkos, Quinn Hughes. You have a guy here in Matvei Michkov who clearly has designs on reaching that level. I guess, have you given thoughts on kind of your plan to help him get there?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to rely on the staff here to help me understand who he is. But just watching, I remember, I didn't see a ton of Flyer games, but I saw enough where there was a stretch where he scored on a bunch of overtime goals, and some of his plays he made, he's got a high level brain. So hopefully I can help, learn from him, but help him. But all those guys you mentioned, hard workers, they work at their game, they're in great shape, shoot a million pucks, always trying to look outside the box. Those are the sort of things I can help Mitch understand. From talking to Jonesy and Danny, he wants to be the best. That's a good head start right there. That I get a guy like he wants to be the best. He's willing to do whatever, and that's what it's going to take. So I'm very privileged to be able to that high level guy. I know the fans already love him here, so can see what happens the next 5 years with this guy.
Rick, the guys in charge here, obviously Danny and Keith and Dan Hilferty have talked about the importance of team culture.
Yeah.
Obviously, last year in Vancouver, there was a well-publicized, things went awry a little bit. What did you learn, I guess, going through that in terms of the importance of keeping things on the level from that standpoint? Is there anything you would have done differently?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's tough to answer in 30 seconds. First of all, I've answered this before. Huge JT Miller fan. We still talk today. Love the guy. Same thing with Levis Pettersson. Sometimes things happen, and there's not a bad guy. Sometimes people are looking for the bad guy in this. Some things just don't work out, and you have to move on from it. Have I learned from things? Yeah, differently. Yeah, I think we exhausted as a group. I thought. I was lucky to work for Jim Rutherford, Patrick Alvin, and Francesco Aquilini, unbelievable owner. They were right by my side, supporting the whole time. Could we have done something different? Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but I did learn a lot from that time there. But during that tumultuous time. The one thing I was proud of the players that, we had a lot of injuries. I'm not going to get into the excuses, but I'm really proud of that team that we were only a few points out of a playoff spot with all that went on. So I give the players a lot of credit for that. But yeah, it's something that you always learn from experiences and evolve as a coach, 100%. Is that this? Did you have a second question? That was it? Okay.
Doc, Chris Tarian's still the goalie. Obviously, we have a history of playing together.
Yeah.
When I look at your career, Rick, and what you were for the Flyers and other teams, and then your post-career, when you look at what you're doing now, what parts of your learning experience do you take the most from your playing days or your coaching days, and also what coach along the way, if you'd say, had an impact on your career?
Yeah. I think, Bundy, for me, like I learned as a coach, but I actually try to put myself in a seat. Like if I'm a coach, what do I want to hear the coach, or what do I want from the coach? Like, not to bring up, the campfire stories, but the year 2000 when I said Johnny, were like the memories of that year. We fell short, obviously, Game 7, but the closeness of that team. What can a coach do to help provide a close team like that? And give the players the success and the tools. So I think as a player, put my player hat on when I played from those experiences, it helps me as a coach. And as a coach, I think just learning from, like I said, I was 2 weeks in Montreal and Boston for the 4 Nations. John Cooper, Bruce Cassidy, Pete DeBoer. I mean, those guys are high-level guys. Just to be in the room with those guys, learning from those guys is invaluable. Over the years, obviously Mike Keenan was a great influence on some of the techniques that he did as a coach. I really enjoyed playing for a guy like Jim Schoenfeld. He was a guy, maybe Jonesy was maybe not so much. But guys like that are old school, but also ahead of their time. So I think it's important. I've learned a lot from as a coach and a player. But I do try to put my player hat, or as a player when I played. I said, like when I talk to the players, I think, what is he thinking as a player that I would want as a player too? So I think that helps me, when it deals with players.
Last question, please. Hey, Rick, it's Billy Schwein from 97.3 ESPN. the Flyers haven't made the playoffs in 5 years, and we've been told, obviously, it's a rebuild. What are your expectations for this team this year?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, getting everybody, get the team to play better. Like like every individual has untapped talent, right? To whatever level it is, it's my job to untap it. I think the direction, I know where this is going, and I like the direction. I actually love the direction that these guys have laid out. I believe in it, and I want to be part of the solution. It's just not me. It's not about Rick Tocchet. It's about everybody. But for me, I know what I got to do to keep this ball going. And there's a lot of tools here to work with. That's what has attracted me, Billy, to this job.
All right, there you go. Our own Billy Schwein getting a question in at the end there. Good question there, Billy, by the way, too. They haven't made the playoffs in 5 years. What's the expectations? He says, I like the direction of the team. Well, it's funny that was the end of the press conference, because at the beginning of the press conference, Danny Briere said nothing changes. So they're not going to try to accelerate this for Rick Tocchet. A lot of people think you bring Tocchet in, you're trying to take shortcuts, you're trying to win right away. Doesn't sound like that's going to happen. What do you Flyer fans think about adding Rick Tocchet? I will say, former Flyer, you go down that road, guy hasn't had a lot of playoff success. He's not like a guy who's won a championship. Did win the Coach of the Year a couple of years ago. I don't feel like there is a huge buzz like there would be with a guy like Rick Tocchet, and maybe that has to do with we're not in the Flyer season. They haven't been in the playoffs. But let us know your thoughts on that. Hit us up on the text board.
The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN Radio. The Celtics survive.
Brown for three up top. Ooh, got it.
With the Knicks up 3-2, the series returns to New York City. Can the Celtics survive once again?
Friday night, New York City. In an elimination game, the Knicks have not closed out a series at home since 1999.
Game 6 of the Celtics and Knicks. Coverage begins tonight at 7:30 Eastern, with tip-off at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Listen to the NBA playoffs exclusively on 97.3 ESPN.
Memorial Day savings are here at the Home Depot. So take your kitchen to the next level with up to 35% off, plus up to an extra $450 off select appliances like LG. Plan your get-togethers with an LG refrigerator you can count on for years to come at the Home Depot. And with the connected ThinQ app, you'll know if the door is left open and when to change the filter. Spend less time worrying this Memorial Day with savings on LG, America's most reliable appliance brand, at the Home Depot. Offer valid May 15th through June 4th, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's Bennett Chevrolet's Memorial Day blowout with prices that won't be beat. That's right, Bennett Chevrolet selling new Chevys at GM supplier employee prices. And you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 20%. Who else can make an offer this good? Nobody. That's who. Get to Bennett Chevy's Memorial Day blowout all this month and save up to 20% on new vehicles with GM supplier employee pricing. And you keep all the rebates. Plus, you'll save even more with Bennett's available 0% financing. And if you're looking for your best deal on pre-owned, Bennett's paying a minimum $10,000 for any trade, no matter the mileage or condition. You'll get at least 10 grand towards any pre-owned. Imagine how much more Bennett pays for a good trade. And there's no need to negotiate. Never any haggles or hassles, because our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Another checkup? Why are so many people getting new puppies?
Dr. Kim's veterinary office is littered with cuteness.
We are booked solid for weeks, but who can say no to a puppy, right? Oh, who's a good boy?
She needs to find extra vet techs to get those pups some extra love.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Tune in to the Bet365 Play of the Day during the Sports Bash with me, Mike Gill, every weekday afternoon at 5:45 on 97.3 ESPN. Made possible by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Stylin'. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 6/22/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Here's Comedians and Sketchers Getting Comfortable, presented by Hands-Free Skechers Slip-Ins.
Hey, I'm Bobby Slayton, and I'm here with my pal, comedian, and Skechers ambassador, Mr. Howie Mandel.
Why did it take so long to invent something as amazing as slip-ins? And I know it seems simple, but it took Skechers to invent a better pair of shoes.
Yep, with Skechers Slip-ins, you just step it and go. You don't have to touch your shoes. And by the way, Slip-ins are for the whole family, men, women, and kids. In all your favorite Skechers styles, find Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
This Memorial Day, turn up the heat with the Home Depot. Find the perfect grill and patio set to keep the cookouts coming all season long. Grill up a feast with the Next Grill 4-burner gas grill, only $229. And complete your space with the stylish Glen Ridge Falls 7-piece dining set, now on special buy for just $499 with free delivery. Take your Memorial Day cookout to the next level all summer long with the Home Depot. See homedepot.com/delivery for more details.
Every choice you make matters. Whether you're dining out, grabbing takeout from your favorite local spot, or shopping for that perfect outfit at a neighborhood boutique, you're giving back to your community. It's not just about supporting businesses, it's about strengthening connections and keeping your community vibrant. Town Square Media South Jersey is proud to shine a spotlight on local businesses that make our area special.
Broadleys is your local source for plumbing, heating, and air conditioning service and installation since 1911. Call 609-390-3907 or visit broadleys.net. First Bank of Sea Isle, Cape May County's community bank. Hot Bagels, your local bagel store. Always fresh, always delicious. Storybook Land. Create your own story at Storybook Land.
Thank you for supporting your local businesses like Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Service, First Bank of Sea Isle, Hot Bagels, and Storybook Land. Town Square Media South Jersey thanks you.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
5 o'clock, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. It is a happy hour Friday, kind of a miserable day out there. It was raining, it was tornado-y, it was wet, it was soggy. But it is Friday. It's the final hour of the show here on the Sports Bash this week. I'm Mike Gill. What's up, everybody? You know, we're getting ready to do Rye or Sigh, and Rye and I will text back and forth different things we want to hit on for the segment, you know. And I just was listening to the Rick Tocchet press conference, and as I was listening to the Rick Tocchet press conference, I was just perusing through some notes and some things that I like to hit, and I found a couple nuggets, not Nick's nuggets, Har, but a couple of nuggets that we might get into during this segment right now. It's going to be a good hour of the Sports Bash on a Friday to get us out of here. On a happy hour Friday, text in, what are you having? 609-403-0973. The breaking news, Aaron Nola on the injured list. Mick Abel is being called up. He will start on Sunday, and that will be it. Taiwan Walker will fill his spot in the rotation. So this is just a one start for Mick Abel. He'll come up on Sunday and pitch against Paul Skeens and the Pirates. And by the way, on Sunday afternoon, 1:35. We're going to be doing another On the Porch on the YouTube channel, so you can check that out. Watch us watch the game and watch the game with us on YouTube on Sunday for another edition of On the Porch. We got another edition of Rye or Sigh right now, and man, there's a lot happening. We got the Eagles schedule. We've got the Aaron Nola news. Got the Phillies this weekend, how bad the Pirates are. Got the Preakness. And then this Sixers stuff that I just sent your way.
Yeah, I did not read that. That looked like a novel that I skipped in 8th grade that I got the Cliff Notes for. You're going to have to give me the Cliff Notes or something.
Did you have summer reading?
I couldn't tell you because I've never done any reading in the summertime in my high.
No, did you ever get did they ever like
yeah, like assign you books to read?
Assign you summer reading, yes.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Which is
I never had a summer reading like where they said, "Hey, you need to read this book over there." I never had that.
Yeah, I remember having it, but I remember zero repercussions when we showed up and none of us did the reading. Like, I don't know. I don't remember what happened with that.
All right, so you said you didn't read what I just sent you, right?
I did not. I know it's Sixers draft related. That's about it.
Okay, so, all right, then I'll ask you, are you sighing at this? It is expected that the Sixers will listen to offers for the number 3 pick, but it is unclear whom the team would take if it stays. Now, they mentioned Bailey as one guy. It says the Sixers front office likely needs to win next year to keep their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I've got a wider sense of appreciation from NBA front offices for Edgecombe over Bailey. He then says, if I had to guess the Sixers' direction, and I cannot emphasize enough that this is just my read, I would put both Edgecombe and Knipple as more likely the pick than Bailey if they kept the pick.
Now, who said all of this?
This is Sam Vecini. He is the Athletics NBA, one of their NBA writers. He is one of their draft guys.
Got you. Yeah, I know who he is. I'm familiar with his stuff. Okay, cool. I sigh at that big time because from what Daryl Morey had to say on John Clark's podcast, what is it, the Takeoff Johnny Airport podcast, whatever the heck it is, but Daryl Morey, and I believe you have this bite, but I'll outline this, which is Daryl Morey said, we will be getting best available player in the draft. We will be using the number 3 overall pick, as well as 35, by the way. And then we will be addressing team need via free agency and elsewhere. So for me, I say that's a trade. That's a big free agent signing. And Daryl Morey is going to be smart enough to utilize his picks in this draft. I don't think they're going to move around or trade this away, Mike. I sigh at that.
All right. So you think that Morey is being genuine when he says they want to keep the pick?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think I'm sighing at that.
Why, though? Because here, this is how I interpret it. Once again, he said elsewhere they're going to address team need. He also mentioned, we played this clip earlier in the week or last week, about that fit with McCain and Maxey, right? So I can see McCain or Maxey being on the move in order to address more team need, and then that also impacts how he utilizes pick 3.
Okay, so this article from Sam Vecini goes on to say, I wonder if the best option might be to see if there's a team that wants to jump ahead of Charlotte, Utah, New Orleans, and take a flyer on Baylor or Edgecombe. For instance, would Brooklyn look at a deal of Cam Johnson, number 19 and 27, for Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, and pick number 3? Would you be interested in a deal like that?
Not really. No, I don't know. That doesn't move the needle. So Andre Drummond and Kelly Oubre, they have player options for this upcoming year. So we don't know. They could opt in. They could opt out. Like, we don't know exactly what's going to go on.
Well, Oubre, Drummond, and Gordon are all expected to opt into the deals, and then they would be very attractive tradable contracts, all 3 of those guys.
Yes, they are, because they're very favorable.
I guess the question I have for you is, are you sighing at a player that if you have the 3rd pick in the draft, are you sighing at you get a player like Cam Johnson for the 3rd pick? Now, you're getting multiple picks, but deeper in the draft. Now, mind you, Daryl Morey has found Jared McCain at 19 or 16? 16.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey at 21. So you would get 2 picks later on in the first round and Cam Johnson. Does Cam Johnson do enough, or would you just rather take a shot at pick number 3?
Cam Johnson does not do enough for me at all. Does not do enough. Daryl Morey is well aware of the depth and talent that's available in this draft. Not only in the top 5, the top 10, it's even deeper than that. Right? I mean, I talked about the 35 pick. The 76ers are going to have an opportunity to get a really good player potentially at 35 as well.
Yeah, well, listen, Cam Johnson, let me just, for the people out there, he's from Brooklyn. This is a Brooklyn Nets player, 6'8". He is kind of like a, I would kind of list him as kind of like a stretch almost, like a, almost like a stretch 4 type of player.
Yeah, he's a stretch 4. He can, switch on picks. He can do a lot of things, defend a lot of positions. Yeah.
Isn't that a player that you kind of been lacking for? I mean, 39% from 3, shoots 7 threes a game, averages almost 19
you want to give up
points.
The 3rd overall pick for him, Mike?
I'm asking, do you think the 3rd overall pick fits and makes the impact where your roster is right now better than a player like that?
I think you have to take that chance. Absolutely, it's a gamble. I talk about the draft and everything. It's a gamble.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, we're all gambling here.
Cam Johnson's not worth it. Cam Johnson's not worth it. Absolutely not. No.
All right, so you're sighing at that because you're getting Cam Johnson. But as the article points out, you would also be getting number 19 and number 27. So you would still be adding 2 more players, young players, to the mix. Probably wouldn't be helping you out right away, but you didn't think that Maxey or McCain were going to help you out right away either.
Yeah, there you go. That sort of backs my point up a little bit more, and it's a good point by you. So, yeah, all of those things are true. I sigh at that, though. I just think Cam Johnson's not good enough. If there's a better opportunity that comes across Morey's desk, will he listen? Will he possibly take it? Yeah, I think that's Daryl Morey. That's what he does. But I don't think he's doing that.
I agree with you that I don't know that Cam Johnson is worth gambling on for the 3rd pick in the draft, but man, I think he would be a great fit for this team, though. Like,
I agree.
If you somehow said, hey, you got Cam Johnson, the problem is, am I giving up pick number 3? Now, here's the issue I have with this whole situation. Are you going to really take – he mentions in the article here, okay, that the 2 players that he thinks they would take would be Edgecombe and Knipple. He doesn't mention Bailey as one of the top 2 things for them. You take Knipple at pick number 3, that seems like you're picking a guy above his draft slot. And Edgecombe, to me, he is the smallest guy of the group of players in the top 15. So now he becomes, hey, I got Maxey, I got McCain, and now I've got another player who is in more of the Maxey McCain mold than he is something that you don't have.
The only way they draft Edgecombe, in my opinion here, is if they trade McCain or Maxey, which I do believe they're going to do, by the way, and we can get more into that in a minute. You can possibly sigh at that, but to me, you're not getting Edgecombe with your current roster.
I want to play the audio. Nick Nurse was on this week, and Daryl Morey has been saying, we asked him about Maxey and McCain playing together. First, we'll get what Nick Nurse said about Maxey and McCain playing together. Here's what Nick Nurse told me on the Sports Bash.
We know we need to get Tyrese off the ball some just to let him display the shooting aspect of his game that he can do, and just to get him just some rest off the ball. Really, Jared, we tried to put him on the ball to see what kind of point guard he was, and obviously he played a lot of point guard in his younger years, and I really think they kind of coexist as both the 1 and the 2, just kind of sharing both positions. And I think they have assets at both of them, and I think it's necessary that we have them both play each position.
Okay, so Nurse said, yeah, he thinks they can play together. Maxey off the ball more. McCain on the ball, he played a lot earlier, but coexisting, sharing the positions almost simultaneously. Here is what Morey said about those 2 guys playing together.
Historically, it's been hard. The only way McCain, Tyrese type, your 2 guards guarding 1s and 2s, is if you have like a very strong rim protecting big, can make that work. And if we have Joel, we'll be fine. So I do think it works if you have a near elite rim protector, but otherwise I think it's challenging.
Very interesting. It works if you have Joel Embiid, but if not, it becomes challenging. Well, there's another thing. You don't have the answer to that question right now. Now, they keep saying, as Morey said, we expect everybody to be ready to go in game number 1, but if he's not, then it sounds like Morey doesn't think that Maxey and McCain can play together.
All right, so you're yes and no. I agree with what you're saying, but I interpret it a little bit differently. I'll start with Nick Nurse. I agree with what he's saying 100%, wholeheartedly. I would love to see, my curiosity is piqued at what McCain and Maxey would look like playing alongside each other in the backcourt. I think they would have success together. I really do. I believe that. And I trust Nick Nurse as well in that capacity, trying to develop that and teetering those two together. Now, Daryl Morey,
does that become like a version of Portland's Lillard and McCollum, two guards that scored a whole heck of a lot but had trouble defending?
It could be. It definitely could be. It also could be, I'm blanking. Cleveland. It also could be OKC. Those guys aren't SGA, but multiple guards are outside the perimeter with bigs behind them. So New York, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, right? So there's a lot of different examples where you have guys that are ball handling dominant and can score. Daryl Morey is trying to trade one of those guys. So he's dropping little hints that, hey, I don't love this fit because these guys might not be here. He's not going to come out and say, I love Maxey, I love McCain, can't wait to see these guys for the next 3 years. No, he's not going to say that. I think he's looking at life without one of them to address more team needs.
All right, well, that would be a big deal because as he kind of mentions in this article, I'm trying to kind of scroll through. There's a whole heck of a lot in this article here, but he did say that, hey, leave it to Daryl Morey to be a guy that would be the one who pulls off some crazy trade with the assets that they now have. He says, if the Spurs pass on Harper, then this will get interesting for Philadelphia. And then he mentions he will fit in talking about Harper, that he would fit in alongside the Philly trinity of Joel, Maxey, and George to help the Sixers get a little bit more dangerous. Philadelphia could and should consider Ace Bailey and Duke Knippel here too. So you take a look at the possibilities of them possibly trying to move up with San Antonio, because that's another thing that he wrote about. Could you use a McCain or a Maxey? Probably not, because they would just take Harper. They don't need another guard.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. I also think we're looking at this the wrong way a little bit, unintentionally, which is, what is the priority if you're Daryl Morey? It's team need. And what did he just say on the John Clark podcast? He's not addressing team need in the draft. So we're trying to figure out what he's going to do in the draft. But what he does in the draft is going to be dictated by what he does elsewhere.
What I thought was interesting, what he told John Clark, though, was we'll do the work in free agency. They don't have any money to spend in free agency. So that tells me.
He said free agency and elsewhere.
And that tells me I've already got some wheels turning on what I'm going to do with this roster, because I don't know where you're spending any money in free agency. This is going to have to be either 1, trades, 2, sign and trade type of thing, where Quentin Grimes is a restricted free agent. Maybe if Brooklyn is interested in Grimes, that's a team that comes up there. Maybe they say, hey, we'll sign him and trade him to you. We'll take back. Like, could Quentin Grimes and a Cam Johnson flip-flop happen? I doubt that they would do something like that. I think Johnson is probably too good of a player. I don't know that Grimes got enough. Now, Grimes averaged 21 points a game in Philadelphia. Does he have enough value to get a player like Johnson back in return? I doubt it.
No way. Absolutely not. Don't you think we're looking at this backwards, though? Right? And you just said what I said to you a couple minutes ago. I think you were doing something else when I said that. But exactly what I said, that it insinuates to me he has other things on his mind. Daryl Morey does. So that's going to impact how he's going to go about this draft completely, because we don't know who's going to be here. What key player's not going to be here? I think one of them will not be here by the time the draft rolls around.
So you really think that Maxey or McCain, one of them are gone?
I do. Right now, if I had to say yes or no, I say yes, one of them are gone.
Yeah, I think I'm sighing at that. I mean, I don't see them trading Maxey.
Why?
Let's just say I think the organization thinks extremely high of him and have pretty much indicated that that would be off the table.
Who indicated that?
Just saying that I have a strong feeling on that.
Okay.
McCain, I wouldn't be, if you told me McCain, I'd be pretty surprised. I mean, he seems like a guy that they're putting out there for everything. He's at the draft lottery. I mean, he's the nicest kid in the world. I can't imagine they're looking to move on from that type of player. So I would be pretty surprised if they moved either one of those two guys.
I think Maxey, I would not be surprised. Because let me ask you this. Do we think Daryl Morey's going to make a big move?
Yes.
Outside of the draft?
Yes.
Okay. So if it's not Maxey or McCain, what is that move?
Your dot connecting is accurate. I mean, if you're trying to connect dots, those two guys are at the top of the flagpole of the dots that connect.
That's all I'm trying to do.
So I'm not calling you crazy at all. I'm just saying I feel pretty strongly that Maxey and McCain will not be traded.
Okay. No, and I'm intrigued and interested to see what you're thinking if it's not one of those guys, and we're both on the same page of there's going to be a big move. Is it Joel Embiid? Is it Paul George? Is it something else crazy? Maybe it is trading the third pick if it gets a current star in here, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the thing, is behind the scenes, is Morey getting interest or calls on Paul George? Like, that to me would be priority number one. Am I getting calls on Paul George? Are people interested in him? And can that change the complexion of this team? Yeah. I think that I'd be pretty surprised. If they felt they were getting enough value to trade Joel Embiid.
If they were getting enough value. Well, you don't think the market is going to warrant Daryl Morey saying yes to a trade?
Yeah, like I said the other day, like if you trade Joel Embiid, and let's just say it's like a Charles Barkley deal where you get three players who are just mid-level players, Jeff Hornacek, Andrew Perry, Tim Lang. That was the trade they got for Barkley. Barkley was a pretty damn good player, MVP, Hall of Famer. They got three tomato cans back Jeff Hornacek was a nice player. Tim Perry and Andrew Lang were insignificant return. And it puts you into mediocrity for 2 decades because of that trade. So the Sixers cannot trade Joel Embiid if you're going to get minimal return to put them back into mediocrity.
I agree, yeah.
If you are Daryl Morey, your ass is on the hot seat. You can't trade Joel Embiid away for 3 soup cans.
No, not at all. I think I hear what you're saying. I just think, looking at that trade 30, I mean, how long ago is that? 25, 20, 40 years ago, that trade? It's like, I think we need a more accurate, like Charles Barkley, I think, served tables at night too. I mean, things were different back then, dude. Like, so I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head like a more recent trade.
I'm just saying, if you got a level of return, many people have always say, when you trade a superstar in the NBA, very rarely do you get fair market value back in return.
I mean, the Anthony Davis trades, they got like 28 first-round picks for him. I mean, some trades do get the return. Is Brooklyn a team that wants some? Brooklyn's salary cap is like $5. Do they say, all right, we'll give you a couple future assets for Embiid for a couple years? I don't know.
I would be, again, I'm saying I'd be shocked on all this, but in the same breath, I'm also saying I think they will do something pretty major.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. I think anything major is always shocking. So it's just trying to connect those dots, as you mentioned, MG, of like, okay, what could the shocking reality look like?
All right, when we come back, y'all, you'll hear some stuff from Paul George, who his podcast is back. You'll hear what he had to say about this season and the season that he had. Should we give Paul George the benefit of the doubt? That's coming up next. This is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's Bennett Chevrolet's Memorial Day blowout with prices that won't be beat. That's right, Bennett Chevrolet selling new Chevys at GM supplier employee prices. And you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 20%. Who else can make an offer this good? Nobody. That's who. Get to Bennett Chevy's Memorial Day blowout all this month and save up to 20% on new vehicles with GM supplier employee pricing, and you keep all the rebates. Plus, you'll save even more with Bennett's available 0% financing. And if you're looking for your best deal on pre-owned, Bennett's paying a minimum $10,000 for any trade, no matter the mileage or condition. You'll get at least 10 grand towards any pre-owned. Imagine how much more Bennett pays for a good trade. And there's no need to negotiate. Never any haggles or hassles, because our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
It's time to make your yard the best on the block with Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot. Start by keeping the weeds at bay with Earthgrow mulch, now 4 for $10. Then keep your garden thriving with Miracle-Gro garden soil, now on special buy, 4 for $10. Give your neighbors yard envy all summer long with Memorial Day savings going on now at the Home Depot.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeaks doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrows. Oh, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-242-1551. That's 800-242-1551. 800-242-1551.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
These are all the things you would hear upon getting into and starting your car. Going wherever the road takes you. It's just, there was one sound noticeably missing.
Oh, man.
Remember, click it or ticket. You don't want a fine, and it just might save your life. So don't risk it. Click it or ticket. This message is brought to you by NHTSA.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. Major League Baseball, the Phillies at home tonight to begin a 3-game series with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Philadelphia coming off a doubleheader against St. Louis on Wednesday, where they split the pair of games. Ranger Suarez getting the start. He is 1-0 with a 5.91 ERA, while Andrew Heaney will go for the Bucks. He is 2-3, a 3.15 ERA. The Philadelphia Flyers introducing Rick Tocchet as the new head coach on Friday. He becomes the 25th head coach in Flyers history. Played 11 of his 18 seasons with Philadelphia, is in the team's Hall of Fame. The Flyers fired John Tortorella back in March, played the rest of the season with Brad Shaw serving as an interim coach. Earlier this week, the Eagles released their 2025 season schedule. Games include the opener Thursday night, September 4th against Dallas, and they'll also play the day after Thanksgiving against the Chicago Bears. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Sometimes you see them, many times you don't. I'm talking about motorcyclists. They share the road with us, but they're harder to see. Look twice before changing lanes, approaching intersections, or merging into traffic. Be the driver who saves lives. A message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
Good afternoon with your South Jersey weather forecast. I'm Joe Kelly. Going to be cloudy for the most part tonight. A low temperature about 63. Tomorrow looks hot. We're going to start off with some clouds in the morning, giving way to lots of sunshine in the afternoon. Lots of heat, too. Tomorrow's high all the way up to 85 or 86. The outlook for Sunday, pretty good. Sunshine and 76. And your back to work Monday will be sunny with a high of 77. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. You have a great weekend. I'm Joe Kelly.
Viking Pest Control has your back this Memorial Day. Don't let pests ruin your backyard plans. Save $100 when you bundle pest control with mosquito and tick services with Viking. Enjoy a bite-free summer with Viking. Visit VikingPest.com. That's VikingPest.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
.528 Sports Bash on a Friday night. All right, so we teased on the other side about Paul George. The Paul George Podcast P podcast is back, which I have no interest in, but he did talk about the season that he had with the Sixers, and he said some things that I would ask, are you going to sigh about? Should we be sighing about some of the things that he said in there about his first season? Let's, all right, let me play first. I'm trying to see the board here. Can you move that off so I can see what that says? All right, this is Paul George detailing why his first season in Philly was so tough for him. Take a listen.
Every time I suited up, it was like, man, I want to play for this city. Like, I know what it'll feel like if we won here. It just sucked because I had so much popping up, from injuries to, dealing with the fires back home, and my house is in the thick of that. Family situations and going on that I had to kind of man up on. It was just so much pulling me that it was hard to kind of be all in focused on certain nights.
All right, so he talked about it. I had so much going on. He mentioned the fires going on, and that's something I think a lot of fans, we just don't really take into consideration. And then when we hear it, we don't want it to matter. But he did say it had the injuries, the fires, a lot happening there. Sighing at that.
I'm sighing at everything, and it's no disrespect to what he had to deal with those fires, but he mentioned a lot of poop there, and it's ironic because I'm missing the poop scoreboard like a lot of fans for Pirates Phillies this weekend.
Yeah.
We got the poop series. Podcast P, dude, I'm out on all of that. I'm out. I sigh on Paul George so much. He's done nothing with this city. He has no experience with this city. He has no interest in this city. So don't BS us.
All right. Well, he said something that's very interesting here as well. Now, I will say a lot of the stuff, the injuries and stuff, that to me, it's hard because we don't know him that well. He's only been here the 1 year. We have a bad taste in our mouth. The fire stuff, I do have some sympathy for. And I don't remember when that was happening and where he was. But, the human element side of these guys' lives that we just don't give a bleep about sometimes. And that sucks for him. And it sucks by us as fans. Like to say, hey, look, this guy's a human being. His house is on fire. His family lives out there. And we're just complaining because he's not playing good basketball. I think there is an element to that could have been a distraction for him. On top of, the guy got hurt at the end of the preseason. Remember in that preseason game, and he was ready to go. He was ready to play, and it wasn't even his fault. He stepped on what happened? He got tangled up with somebody?
Yeah, it was so weird. It was like after the Sixers got a rebound or he got a rebound, it was nothing major contact, if any at all. It was a very freak accident type of injury. It was unfortunate.
Right, so then he misses the start of the season. Then he comes back, he hurts his knee again. Then he comes back and you can't even script to have a weirder injury than to tear a tendon in your pinky. If you talk about an all-time bad luck situation, you tore a tendon in your pinky, and that really derailed him.
It's like the Philly curse. I don't know what it is. It is very strange. And yeah, I think to what you just said a second ago, it's the culmination of all those things. I'm sure it took a toll on him.
So do we give him any reprieve of, okay, I will have a more open mind for year 2 based on what he said there?
I don't know if that's the only clip we have or no, but
we have others.
Yeah, there was one that he was talking about just the fan base and just like the energy. I don't know. It was a bunch of nonsense. He said a lot of nonsense.
All right, here's Paul George 2, says he likes the pressure in Philly.
I've never played on the caliber of what Philadelphia fan base is with the intensity that they have. So it was, it was pressure, but I always looked at it as like, that's the pressure you want as an athlete. Like, you want rooting for you. You want them to call you out.
All right, so he says he likes the pressure. Never had the pressure like Philadelphia pressure. He liked it.
What pressure has he dealt with? How many games has he played as a 76er? What was the most pressure-filled moment that Paul George has been a part of?
So you think he's appeasing on his podcast?
Yeah, yes. He called up Harper or Sirianni, and he said, hey, this is Pandering Paul here looking for some help. I mean, he can't speak on that, can he?
Maybe. I don't know. What do you got?
Just a quick question for you guys, and maybe Ryan, maybe I'm more direct this question to you, but for those who didn't see it, so it was not just Paul P on his podcast. It was actually a crossover collab with the guys from the Pivot. So the guys from the Pivot are interviewing Paul George, and they use the content on his podcast. So it's Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, and I forget the other guys off the top of my head, but. So, Ryan and Mike, do you guys think that if Paul George was BSing, maybe that one of those football players should have called him out or maybe would have called him out?
I don't think he's BSing. I'm being a little bit it's like hyperbole, but I just think he's unequipped and inexperienced to speak on that directly is, the more proper and literal way to put it. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what this Pivot podcast is.
Ryan Clark's been doing it for a few years. It's him and a couple of his buddies. They host this podcast, and they interview like anyone and everyone.
You're saying, would Ryan Clark stop him and say, well, you barely played. How do you know what kind of pressure it is? I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I feel that they would be unequipped to have that follow-up.
Me too. I agree with that.
That being said, I think he did. He played in L.A. with the Clippers, who nobody cares about.
Mm-hmm.
Very minimal coverage. Oklahoma City, very minimal coverage.
He was on some good teams in OKC, and that's a great fan base, but it's not Philly. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Great teams, good fan base, but not the media scrutiny that he gets.
No.
Indiana, same thing. So I think he came here and got bulldozed by the amount of attention that this team gets as opposed to some of the attentions that his previous 3 teams got.
He definitely, and that's fair, right? I'm looking at it more from the on the court perspective, and I'm like, dude, there's been no pressure at all from on the floor that you can relate and draw to. But you're right, he comes here, and this ends up being like the most infamous year ever, a disaster. Fans are just over this team and this franchise for the first time in a long time officially. So, yeah, he saw the pressure just from more of a distance, I guess, or from sitting down.
Well, and I definitely think, in the time that he was here, seeing what this team means to the fan base, not having a championship, then signing the contract, pairing with Joel and Maxey, and having the, Maury has said it many times, we had the 3rd best odds to win the title. That pressure, I don't think he ever saw anything like that before. So he's saying the pressure is different, but he liked it, which is what I thought was interesting. Then he adds this about looking forward to playing here in the future.
100%, man. The pressure is real in Philadelphia, but it's the good pressure, and it's like I look forward to playing in Philadelphia.
Okay, so it almost seems like somebody fouled up. Like, you like the pressure? And he's like, yeah, man, absolutely. See, I feel like we have such little understanding of who Paul George is, so we're just going off of public perception.
And let's not let's talk about public perception for a second with Podcast P. All right. 2 years ago, before he came to Philly, this guy's an all-star for 2 straight seasons. 2 seasons ago, before last year, he played and started in 74 games. It's like, this isn't like a Joel Embiid guy where he's habitually playing 44 games. Like, this is an all-star 2 years ago. This guy averaged over 20 points a game 2 years ago. This is a guy that played in a lot of games 2 years ago. So can he
2 years ago, but before that, he played 56, 31, 54, 48. I know one of those is probably a COVID year, so there was a lack. But when he was in Oklahoma City, 77, 79, 75, 81. Indiana, 80, 79, 66, 61. The 66 year, I think, was a strike-shortened year, too. So, yes, he has had durability stretches, but then the L.A. Clipper years.
Yeah, 19 to 22. But I think my overall point is, and it's fair for you to say, is in 23-24, he played in 74 games and was an all-star.
Well,
right?
And some people say that was his contract year.
Yeah, that's fine. But the year before, he was also an all-star. I don't know. Like, I think it's just more of, hey, maybe he can bounce back to that. It's not like it's been 5 straight years of 44, 51, 44, right? So.
Hey, listen, if he is the guy that he was in 2023, 2024, 2022, 2023, either one of those two, and I don't remember what year was the COVID year when they only played how many games? 40 games? What did they play the one year coming out of COVID?
2020? Or...
No, because 2019 they played, and then COVID stopped the season in March,
so
and then they finished the playoffs sometime in the fall, and then they came back and played shortly thereafter. I don't know. So when you're looking at these games played in that little run there, I don't know. Was that 2021, 2022? Where they go ahead.
So what happened was, just remind everybody, so March 2020, they stopped the league. They resumed it that summer.
Is that
in the
March? That's the 2019-2020 season.
Correct.
Right.
So it was 2020.
Because they stopped it right around the NCAA tournament.
Correct. So the 2020-2021 season ended up having 62 games.
And he played 54 that year.
Right.
Another good year. Yeah.
And then the following year, he only played 31.
That was the year that he jacked up his knee.
Okay. So all his years with the Clippers, 5 years with the Clippers, he averaged 23 points a game with, he shot 39% from 3. If you got a guy scoring 23 points a game, shooting 39% from 3, this team's going probably to the finals.
And yeah, it's essentially 40%, 39.7 with multiple years of 41. Like, yeah, he was a 40% 3-point shooter there. We can say that.
In L.A. with the Clippers, and he was a 39% 3-point shooter in the 2 years in Oklahoma City, and in Indiana, he was a 37% 3-point shooter. Here in Philadelphia, he was 35. So it's the worst shooting year that he ever had. It's his worst scoring average that he ever had. So he obviously had his worst year here. My question goes back to the first part of it, the injuries and the fires and all of that stuff. When you see what he's done recently in the recent past, coupled with what we saw this year, does that first bite we play now resonate more, or are we still sighing at that?
I sigh at, you need to just earn your keep a little bit here. That's all. But I understand, I'll be fair, I understand where he's coming from a little bit better. I can admit that.
Well, and as I'm saying, so, like you're saying, you're the one who brought this up, is that, look, 2 years ago, he's played 74 games. He averaged 22 points a game. He shot 41% from 3. It's not that long ago that he had a pretty impactful year. So you look at the year he had this year and say, those numbers are way off the numbers that he had the year before. How's that possible? Does what he say add up, or are we saying, nope, buddy, that's not good enough for me? And do we think he has made that big of a drop-off?
Well, and these are the tough questions that Daryl Morey has to try and answer. Everyone loves talking poop about Daryl Morey. My goodness, he has a mountain to climb. I mean, we ran through the gauntlet of what he has to do this offseason just in this half hour. Paul George decision, Embiid decision, draft decision. But do you just say, all right, let's roll the dice on Paul George as well as Joel Embiid?
Absolutely he does. Absolutely he does, I think, because, look, he knows his rear end is on the fire right now.
Yeah.
And How did I get to a point where I had the third best odds? I had Joel Embiid and Paul George. They didn't play they played, 9 games together? Yeah. So I'm going to take a swing that having those two guys with Maxey McCain and whatever I can do with this third pick, whether it's add a player with it or make a trade. He said it last night on the podcast. I thought it was, and I have a poll question up about it. He said, I think our roster entering this year will be better than the roster entering last year, where we had the third best odds in the league. So he's already saying, I think my team that I'm going to put together is going to be better than that team. And that team had the third best odds. We're not going to have those odds. Here's what Daryl Morey said.
We think our roster is better going into next season. Obviously, the 3-pick helps that, and all the development that Coach Nurse did with Edwards, Bona, and McCain, and the trade for Grimes, and where's he. So we like our roster better going into next season. I don't think we'll be regarded that highly in Vegas just because we had a very tough year. And I think until people see us healthy and playing, they're not going to believe in the team, and I understand that.
So he's saying we had the third best odds last year, but this team will be better, but we're not going to be perceived to be better.
Another good point that we haven't touched a lot on, MG, the development aspect. They've been really good in developing players. And now, let's say they bring back Yabusele, Grimes, Bona, Edwards, McCain. I just listed 6 guys that can be legitimate, really good players in their roles.
No, listen, I think that's where Morey doesn't get enough credit is finding these guys and then Nurse, giving them. And I asked Nurse about this the other day. I said, hey, listen, you got a chance to play some of these guys. When did you go in from, hey, we're trying to go to the playoffs to, hey, the season's over. Let's start to play guys. And then he acknowledged, yeah, we got a chance to play some of these guys. Grimes, I think that's a trade that Morey makes. He absolutely rips them off, and nobody seems to give him any credit for that. But he identified a player that will now, if you can sign him back, will be a part of your rotation, and I think possibly will start.
Hopefully. You need to see him now with the big players, the big boys, because there's a lot of talented dudes that can just give you 20 on a random night.
Yeah, absolutely. Who was the guy that used to play for the Sixers that was telling him, hey, when Joel's back, you're going to be standing in that corner over there, so don't forget yourself. Who was that?
Nance.
No, not Nance.
Not Nance. The guy in Cleveland, the shooter.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Niang. Yeah.
I said
bang, bang, George Niang. Yeah, he was like, Grimes, shut your mouth, dude. When Joel's back, you're going to be standing in that corner over there. You ain't scoring 21 points a night. But, he's a good on-ball defender, 6'5". He gives him a little bit more size in the backcourt. And Morey kind of talked about he thinks that Maxey and Quentin Grimes can play together and be a duo in the backcourt.
I do too. Listen, and at least you have the depth there. Whether it's Maxey and Grimes coming in for some spells for Maxey and/or McCain, whatever it is. And Grimes is versatile. He can also play alongside those two guys, I think, as well. You want to go small, Grimes, Paul George, Maxey, McCain, right? Like there's options. There's going to be options potentially with what Nick Nurse can do. Once this roster comes together, because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, obviously, from the suits, i.e. Daryl Morey.
Yeah, all right. Now, I think there's so much that we, kind of hit on here from that Sam Vecini article. Yeah. One thing is, right now, with pick number 3, as they wrote, the draft starts at 3, but the Sixers can actually jump up to 2 and do something there if the Spurs are open for business, because they talk about the Spurs possibly trading 2 to go get Antetokounmpo, but they also mentioned that the Sixers would also be a team that if the Spurs don't want to move out of that pick, that maybe the Sixers would be willing to.
Yes, that's another layer that I'm potentially on board with. But if you guys are 2 and 3, if the team ahead of you is 2, you're right behind them, and you each want the player, like, you don't even have to trade. You can just call each other and have a gentleman's agreement. Right? Like,
it's funny you say that, because we talked about that with Keith Smith yesterday, and he said, well, you could get in a lot of trouble for that.
I'm sure you could.
And the Sixers have been in trouble for doing some things before, so he said they might not be one of the teams that does what you're suggesting.
All right. Then, Daryl Morey, don't listen to me. Wink.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. That is a Friday edition of Rye or Sigh. By the way, Aaron Nola put on the injured list today. He will not make his next start. Mick Abel will make his MLB debut on Sunday against Paul Skeens, and it will be a one-start deal for Abel. He's going to pitch Sunday and then go back. And then Taijuan Walker is re-entering the rotation. He will pitch in Nola's scheduled start day, which is on Wednesday. So there's the news there. All right? We'll see you on Monday, man.
All right, brother. Later.
See you. All right, there you go. Ryer Sigh, Friday edition, Sports Bash Live. We will pick up the Bet365 play of the day coming up next here on the Sports Bash as we get you out of here on a Happy Hour Friday.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill
Do I have everybody's attention now?
on 97.3